All righty, guys. Man, we got a special night, a night to remember. As we know, we're about 7 or 8 days away from the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. As you guys can hear the little shake in my voice, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because as a Niner fan, at least in my 30 years of existence, man, I've yet to, have that moment to galvanize and to be able to basically say that we are Super Bowl champions. So I'm nervous because Mahomes in 2019, as most of us know, they beat us. 2012 was an incredible team, and we lost as well. Heartbreaking losses. So I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I'm extremely nervous going into 2024 against the Kansas City Chiefs. But before we get into Niner football and start talking about and start arguing about certain subjects, man, tonight is a great night because I have some childhood friends, I have some high school memories and teammates, and pretty much an incredible cast of friendships that we've made. And over the time, we've just always remained tight and hold close bonds. But yeah, we have a lot of amazing friends that are hopefully going to tune in and we can just talk Niner Shop and Kansas City Chiefs. So, and in the panel that we see here, obviously, my name is Ricky. When I was a freshman, our star linebacker for the varsity team would be Hoser. He had amazing highlights, and he basically was one of the team defensive captains of this amazing 2008 2009 North Salinas High School football team led by Coach Zank. And Alvar is his, is a family played for the similar school after years after. But yeah, hopefully we get a couple more members to tune in, and then we'll kick it off from there. But I just want to say real quick, mic check. Can you guys hear one another?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All righty, man. All righty. So I just want to talk a little bit. Are you guys still partaking in the sport of football as a fan? Are you guys coaching? Are you guys still playing maybe on like some semi-pro teams? Like, what's going on with you guys, man? How y'all been?
Love it, love it. Hey, love the introduction here, the homie Ricky. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'll jump in right here. As far as right now, just become a spectator of the sport, just watching it, casual watching it, dropping into the school side, watch a couple of the games. Laid off of coaching. It's been a couple of years now since I've been involved with the sport, but I still big fan of the sport, always loving it, and I'm a big time Niner fan, so I'm glad we're gonna discuss that today. Um, Passing it over to you, Alvar.
Yeah, just more on the same boat, like just more watching the sport rather than anything. Gave up the passion of playing a while ago, so now all I get to enjoy is watching it and having an opinion on it.
Right on, right on. Yeah, absolutely, man. Similar situation here. I've always wanted to go back to our alma mater and go back and coach the youth. Just haven't had the opportunity to really, during the time that I was able to have maybe a window to coach some of my nephews in the respective high school. COVID happened, so it was mostly like in lockdown, and we basically took up boxing. I used to box, so I just kind of went that route with my nephews rather than baseball or football. But ain't no turning back the clock. But hey, man, it's all good. I'm glad that we're all in good health, and same thing, just spectating from the sidelines. Let's see if we got any more on the panel. All right, for sure. All righty, man. So, how you guys feeling about the 2023 going into 2004? How do you guys feel about the Chiefs and the Niners? Just to introduce it, Hoser and myself, and along the majority that will be joining the panel tonight, we're all majority Niner fans, a few Cowboys fans, a few Raider fans. But Alvar, he's a Chiefs fan. So Alvar,
Hey, man, why you gotta have that connotation to it? I felt like a negative connotation to be a Chiefs fan here. I mean, honestly, as far as like playing against the Niners, I feel pretty confident. I mean, it seems like the Niners seem a little bit from just today and yesterday seem a little bit full of themselves. Feel like the Chiefs are looking like a cakewalk, and I don't know. I mean, these Chiefs have been playing like the underdogs and coming in with that mentality that we're gonna come and punch you in the mouth. And I don't know if the Niners are ready to expect that from another team.
No, I like it, like it. I like it, Alvar. Definitely going into this 23, 24 year. for the Niners, man. They've been on a roll. They've been doing great. They had a little slump, a little 3-game losing streak there, somewhere around the midseason of the year. But definitely confident in the 49ers. But we all know Mahomes. He's a very talented quarterback. He's very great. You can't ever discount that man. Can't ever count him out. But I am confident in the team that we've assembled, and I'm very confident in the young quarterback that we have playing position in Brock Purdy. He showed a lot of confidence in his 2-year span that he's been playing. Is able to make some plays with his leg, which we've never had that in a quarterback position. And it's been a while, and he's been just breaking records after records. So I'm definitely confident in the team, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. But Niners need to show up and come to play. So definitely, I'm excited and excited and nervous, but definitely excited to see this how the Super Bowl plays out.
Right on. Same, brother. Same, man. It's one of those things where I'm happy that we're here. I have extremely high expectations of this team, not only with the stacked roster, probably the most stacked roster that I've ever seen or been a fan of since the 2008, 2012 Jim Harbaugh era Niners. But yeah, man, got that nervous energy. I want to ask, when it came down to Brock Purdy, Hoser.
Yes, sir.
In the past, 30 years, 25 years, right? Is he the best quarterback that we've had?
From what I've seen, from what I've witnessed, because I've seen the history of Steve Young and Joe Montana, but I have not seen my quarterback really step in like Purdy has stepped in. It's I do want to say that he might not be the most like physically talented quarterback we've had, but he's definitely brings that IQ mentality, IQ to the game. That has to be associated with his. He's very talented as well. He's physical talented. He has a good enough arm, good enough legs to make plays happen. But with the IQ, with the decision making, I think that sets him above the majority of the quarterbacks or that are playing today. So I think my answer to that would be yes. He's definitely one of the better quarterbacks I've seen play, and I'm rocking behind him and excited to see how far we go with Brock Purdy. Not only just this year, just in his whole career. So looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Same. I would say like when it came down to like the development of the Niners quarterback in like the past 30 years, we had a few good ones, man. Right, from like Jeff Garcia to at times Tim Rattay, Alex Smith, and we've just kind of been on this kind of bender of not really having that household player, Hall of Fame player like a Steve Young or a Joe Montana. I'm kind of, as a Niner fan, I'm a little envious of the folks that actually got to experience those eras, because I have like VHS. It's called the Gold Rush. I have Bill Walsh books I used to read and just hear about these legendary moments. And I only get to see them either like on little segments or little highlight reels or on the internet. So I'm a little salty, not salty, but like I said, a little jealous that I haven't been able to experience like that epic moments. Even though there's been an amazing group of games that we've had against the Saints, the Vernon Davis catch, the T.O. catch against the Green Bay Packers. We've had amazing games, just to go off the memory. But yeah, man, it's been one of those things where like, I want something like that. And hopefully Brock Purdy brings that Niner heyday and that Niner, championship back to the Bay. But Alvar, bro, how you feel about Mahomes, man, being the legendary, Steph Curry basically of the NFL? How do you feel? How do you feel, bro? Like,
I don't know, man. I mean,
spoiled,
honestly, watching the Chiefs from like, we'll say like early 2010, 2011, like those years where we didn't really have a quarterback until like Andy Reid came and stepped in and then brought in Alex Smith. And, Andy Reid is more of a quarterback's coach of anything, and he can get the best out of any quarterback. I think he's shown that time and time again. And then watching those years, every single year, man, heartbreak after heartbreak in the playoffs, every single time. It's like, damn. And then, we move. I remember telling Hoser this in the car. I was telling Hoser this in the car when they traded for Mahomes and they let go of Alex Smith. I was like, Hoser, this guy, he's going to be great. Like, he's going to be good. He's going to be the guy in Kansas City. Hoser didn't believe me at the time, but then that following season, he dropped 50 TDs. And then, the following season won the Super Bowl. I think, honestly, just watching the Chiefs from then to now, like, it makes me really appreciative. I always hate when we have to play the Niners because, like, I feel like the Niners have such a good history. and they deserve one. But like, it's like there's so many Super Bowls that could have gone to other teams that went to like the greats like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger. Like, like there was a lot of times where those championships could have gone to teams that didn't even have a championship. So like being a little spoiled now,
That's right. That's right, Alvar. No, and I definitely have to vouch for that. Alvar was one of the first from the moment Mahomes was drafted. Alvar was sold on him. He's gonna be one of the greatest. And at the time, you're like, yeah, right. It's not gonna happen. Like, he might be okay, but no. Alvar definitely called that one, and I'm glad. I'm glad it's been playing off for your team. I'm glad you got to experience a couple Super Bowls in your lifetime, man. That's amazing. So it's definitely. It does suck that one of those Super Bowl wins was against us. That one still hurts to this day, but can't hate, won't hate. I definitely just want to see the Niners success, be successful in what they do, and I know they can bring it back. And it's this year is definitely, fingers crossed, everything should be. We'll see how things play out.
I think honestly, this is like one of the best years for at least the Niners to pick one off because, I mean, if we're going to be honest here, this is like the weakest Chiefs team that we'll probably see in a while, So, like, having a shot at Mahomes when it's like this weak of a team is like almost like, damn, we have to win this because if we don't, then it's only going to get harder from here,
Dude, and that's crazy saying that this is one of the weakest like teams that the Mahomes has had in a while, and then this is one of the weakest rosters will face off. So that's just wild in itself saying that, the fact that you guys regardless like beat the number 1 Ravens to make it here, that's insane, man. So that's a testament to Mahomes, how you can never count him out. And not just Mahomes, the Andy Reid and his play calls and all that. You guys really have something great going on over there. But definitely the Niners have been knocking on the door for these past couple of years here. And it's about time we break down the door and just step to the next pathway and get the Super Bowl, shoot.
Yeah, no,
excited, boys.
I agree, Hoser. I wanted to piggyback off that. So, Alvar, as you guys know, the Chiefs have you guys, prior to the Andy Reid situation, have you guys won a Super Bowl in the past?
Yes, one, and I think it was Super Bowl 4.
Okay, Super Bowl. Oh, so we're talking about a really long time then.
Yeah, it's been like 50 years since the last one that we won. Like the first, like the one that we won with the first time with Mahomes, that was like 50-year difference.
Damn. So it's very interesting how you guys go from villain when you guys were used to be the heroes because everyone was sick and tired of seeing Tom Brady go to the Super Bowl, and you guys basically have replaced that New England Patriots, at least on the AFC side. So how do you notice and like when you see that situation of now you guys becoming the villain where everybody wants, the person on the Madden cover of this past year, Josh Allen in the Bills, then you have Herbert, and how the whole NFL, I wouldn't say it's conspiring because as we know, they favor a lot of the Chiefs players in the cause, but there's always like these, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Herbert, and all these guys are supposed to kick out the Kansas City Chiefs. So how do you feel going from, hero to villain, I guess 6 years after the fact that you guys won your first chip?
Honestly, I feel like in a sense it kind of sucks for a lot of the other great quarterbacks in the AFC. I feel like to them it's a little like unfair, like it's kind of almost in a sense of like, damn, we just watched Tom Brady dominate for so long, and now it's like, like, damn, we have this dude Mahomes now dominating, and I think Josh Allen is like what the media wants him to be, is like the new like Mahomes or something, and I feel like really there's the AFC is just a gauntlet in itself, and like kind of seeing how we became the villains it kind of sucks because like before everybody would root for us and want us to win, but then now it's kind of like, damn, like why are the Chiefs always in it? Why are the Chiefs always in it? Why are the Chiefs always in it? So it sucks a bit, but I mean that just shows that you're doing something good, like when everybody's hating on you. So I think it was interesting to see, especially with this past year. But I think it's just it's the way it goes, like if you go 6 straight times, like people get tired of seeing you, because 6 straight shots over any other team that could have gone, kind of like makes it seem like, damn, well, what's going on over here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yesterday, we met up at Buffalo Wild Wings, and you guys, man, you guys started, shooting from the hip and just asking these very interesting questions and hot takes. One of the first ones that I want to kind of like address a little bit is Andy Reid. As you know, Alvar was having a lot of success as a Philadelphia Eagles head coach when he had guys like Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, LaShawn McCoy. He had a great team, Deshaun Jackson, Michael Vick, but he didn't win them a Super Bowl. And I believe he did go to a Super Bowl. And basically the Philadelphia Eagles booted him and the Chiefs essentially pick him up. Well, something similar happened to the Niners, right? We had an amazing head coach and coaches and players in Jim Harbaugh. But the owner, Jed York, at the time, he basically said, when fans started questioning him, like, bro, why did you fire Jim Harbaugh, who, rejuvenated and reinvigorated our team to become winners? And basically he said he didn't win a Super Bowl. Soon later, after, some experiments with Jim Tom Sula, Chip Kelly, and all these other coaches, we land Kyle Shanahan, who just basically comes off a loss in the Super Bowl, 28-3 against the New England Patriots when he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, like Andy Reid did in a situation with the Philadelphia Eagles, Kyle Shanahan finds himself in that, that cluster of, the expectations of winning a Super Bowl. So I want to ask you first, Alvar, is it unfair or is it right criticism to put that pressure on Kyle if he loses or wins? Is that like he'll remain head coach? What do you think about that?
You know what? First thing I want to say is I wonder how awkward those interviews were after he lost that 28-3 lead. That's the first thing I was wondering. But I think in general, you look at Jim Harbaugh, he had not to diss on Alex Smith, but Alex Smith is a pretty great game manager. He's above average. He won't get you over the hump. He's always going to get you to a certain spot, but that's it. And you had Colin Kaepernick, who the league kind of figured out and noticed his tendencies, and he kind of washed out. And you look at what Jim Harbaugh was able to do with, I believe, much less, and an aging defense that was starting to get older, and people were starting to leave. You look at it and you're like, fuck, he was able to take us to the NFC Championship, able to take us to a Super Bowl, and we let him go. And now we have you guys have Kyle Shanahan, and it's same situation. You guys see Jimmy G do great. And I remember telling Hoser, I don't think you guys should pay him for just 6 games because it's just 6 games. Who cares if he goes 6-0? That shit does not matter. But you guys handed him a bag, and I believe it was the very next season he got injured, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, it's been happening quite often there.
And then next season gets injured, comes back, makes it to the Super Bowl, runs into Mahomes, loses. And then the very next year, I think it was kind of an off year. And then the year after that was a pretty good year. And then you guys just started streaking more into the playoffs after that. And then, Brock Purdy was never supposed to be the starter. It's nice to see what happened with him now, but you also kind of got to look at Kyle Shanahan and look at the decisions he made making those quarterback picks, because he was you know what, maybe Trey Young's my guy, and he mortgaged your guys' future, which, those picks you guys could have been using now. But I just feel if he doesn't win this year, what else does Kyle Shanahan need? Because you have the quarterback, you have all the positions, you have I'd say the 2019 defense was better, but I feel that's my personal opinion. But but I feel you guys have everything you need, and if you guys can't win it this year, then I just really think it's more on a Kyle Shanahan type of thing. Even though he assembled most of the team, well, I feel Lynch assembled most of the team and is really good at scouting people and making sure that they fit the system that the Niners are running. But I think it's good to hold some type of consistency in the sense of, if he's not getting it done, he had 2 cracks at a Super Bowl and didn't win both of them. I think that looks worse than what happened to Jim Harbaugh, where it was one Super Bowl and you're out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting, man. Yeah, I would say that Kyle I feel like going back to that Trey Lance situation, I do feel like it was an act of desperation. That's kind of like the way I look at it, because you had a situation where Trey was coming off a year of inactivity because there was no college football because of COVID. He's only like 19 or 20 years and hasn't really had that much experience at the college level. And he kind of came from like, I don't know, like a D2, D3 school, right? Like Nevada or
Yeah,
something
he
like
went. He went to North Dakota State. They played in FCS or not FCS, FBS, I think. Some one of those two, but it's like pretty much D1B. Like it's not like where San Jose State or like Fresno State plays in like not that division, but like just like one lower.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. So when I remember that moment, I felt like, man, you're giving up 3 first rounders, probably like a fourth as well in one of those situations, and moving up just to get this player that's really unproven. I also felt it was the same similar situation, Kyle looking for that quarterback when you went all in terms of like a contract year for Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel like it was a good trade because the Patriots gave up, Jimmy for like a second rounder. And that was like, all right, that's not, going all in on a guy. And then he wins you like 5 or 7 games. And then you honor this dude with like $150 million contract. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's a relatively small sample size. And then as we know, like the following year or so, he's kind of unhealthy. He's playing relatively good. And then he gets injured and tears his ACL. So it's one of those interesting things where Brock Purdy kind of fell into the lap of Kyle Shanahan, were to the point where, okay, we can get rid of Trey Lance and trade in. We can get rid of or not paying Jimmy because Brock, he has that experience. He has those big time moments, and the dude is just clutch, man. He's really good. The expectations and the bar that he set, man, it's incredible. And I will say this, man. My check real quick. Rodrigo, hermano. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir. How we doing?
Pretty good, bro. Welcome in. Yeah, I wasn't too sure. Once I saw that Raider icon, I was like, oh, okay, I know who this is. But yeah, man.
Not only to backtrack back to Trey Lance too, he was 19 years old when you guys drafted him, so you knew this was going to be a project like that's going to take a couple years, and like you look at everybody you had on rookie deals and everything, and like you guys were. Kyle Shanahan, in a sense, was almost like ready to mortgage your guys' like now to win later with Trey Lance, which kind of like is also something else to look at where it's like, man, like, why would you do this? And not only that, but like, Trey Lance ends up getting injured because Kyle's trying to run him too much instead of actually develop him as a throwing quarterback.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Hoser and Rodrigo? What do you guys think of, do you feel like Kyle failed Trey Lance a little bit? Because he did have age and youth on his side. So you knew he was going to be a project. Did we get away from Trey Lance too sudden?
That's a great question. It's definitely, just diving back into the whole like Jimmy Garoppolo and why we paid him. So like we were quick to pay him, right? It's just, I feel like the Niners we've been looking for a franchise quarterback and we kind of been, looking for it and wanting it so bad that we saw little glimpses of great plays in Jimmy Garoppolo. They were like, all right, pay this man. He's going to be a future. And we were like a little trigger happy on trying to find that franchise quarterback and going from there. Once we didn't see that play out, I think the same thing happened with Trey Lance, where we saw some talent, we saw mobility, we saw potential, and then, let's move up. Let's move up some draft picks. Let's get him, buy him high, and definitely develop him. So I want to say that's kind of been like the reason why we maybe didn't make the best decisions or like why we rushed these decisions is because of our need of a franchise quarterback. We had always all the pieces around. We just always liked that quarterback. So definitely, like, did Kyle fail with Trey Lance? I think it's just naturally ran its course. I think Trey Lance had his opportunities. He had his good shots. Kyle set him up fairly good enough to be successful. But I do have to kind of like agree with Ovar there on the sense where like there was a couple plays where like just kind of forced him to they try to use his legs a little too much and forget that like, hey, it always starts with the arm. You want to use the legs to create more time to be able to make those passes. You don't want to make him run first type of quarterback. That's not ever going to play out long term. And if we're thinking long term franchise quarterback, we gotta keep him protected and then just start working on those deep passes, deep threats, and utilize them in that way. So maybe maybe I guess he felt him in that sense, but
I
I
feel like
do
I could
like that
also
he was pro.
interject here. I think like Kyle Shanahan also was on a bit of a hot seat during that time too, because there's also the fact of the matter that like you traded all this, like I think what was it, 2 first round picks, and a second round pick. So like you mortgage
Wasn't
your future
three.
to move up to a guy that was going to be available later into the draft. Not only that, but seeing him get injured and then Jimmy G come in and like he was playing all right. He wasn't playing too good. Like he was playing like 50-50. But at that point, like you turn to the guy that you said, yeah, we're sitting you down now, like, and you want him to play well. It's kind of it like I think it sucks the soul out of like some like competitive people. And I mean Jimmy G, like, although he was always smiling, I'm pretty sure that took a hit on him when they told him like, yeah, we're gonna have you sit now. And then Purdy came over here and Purdy came over here and made things look purdy. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do think he earned his spot to start, but I feel like the entire I think I don't know. I just feel like Kyle Shanahan kind of failed Trey Lance, and not only that, but like if Trey Lance was a really good project quarterback and he just turned out to be good, you have Kyle Shanahan to blame to giving it to your guys' rivals who are the Cowboys. So then that's always going to be like kind of in the back of at least you guys, like back of your guys' head, where it's like he's playing for a competitor team now. Even if he's not the starter now, but like maybe down the future he could be a good starter. Like just look at Jordan Love.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Rodrigo, I want to ask you, you being a Raider fan, man, and us talking about having a franchise quarterback or looking, making all these deals to get Jimmy G, trying to trade up to get Trey Lance, and then finally, a unicorn lands on Kyle Shanahan's lap and Brock Purdy. You being a Raider fan, you guys, picked up Jimmy G, and then you guys did draft Aiden O'Connell, right? AOC. How do you feel about your roster? How do you feel about Antonio Pierce? How do you feel just about being a Raider fan and looking into the future?
It's tough. It's tough. You know what I mean? Truthfully, as a fan, as any other fan, I'm always optimistic. Especially, the year ends and another year starts, and it's a fresh season. Everyone starts 0-0, so it just kind of, being optimistic about the team. But to be honest with you, just like the Niners when they went to the Super Bowl and and Jimmy G took them there. It was kind of a tough decision to move on from Jimmy G. He did take him to the Super Bowl. I know he didn't get that ring, but it was close. They were up. They probably should have won that game against the Chiefs, but they didn't. And if they did, it would have definitely resulted in maybe Jimmy G staying a couple more years and giving them, you know, more runs for it. It's a bit different because I feel like the Niners, do have their 5 rings and do have the reputation of always being on top, especially with their roster at this time. I feel like for them it's a ring or a bust, right? The Raiders, we're a bit more lenient at this time since we haven't been doing as great, but I do feel like we're one player away, which is the most important player, which is the quarterback. Um, I don't know. What I mean, I'm definitely, I have, high hopes for the team. I feel like we do have a great roster. It's a better roster than, when Derek Carr, took us to the playoffs with 12-4. It's definitely a better roster than that. And we need a quarterback. We definitely need a quarterback. And, you know, yeah, Brock Purdy has been working out, for the Niners, but let's say you don't win the Super Bowl. Not only has Kyle, lost 2 rings against the Chiefs, but now you have Purdy kind of taking you as far as Jimmy G did. I know he does play better, but then it kind of brings up the question again where is this enough? What I mean? Because you're always gonna have great quarterbacks, and as a football fan in general, Brock Purdy is good. I wouldn't consider him great quite yet. But the rings the rings say it all. What I mean? I don't know how many of you will consider like Joe Flacco a great quarterback, but he does have a ring. Aaron Rodgers considered one of the best with his multiple MVPs, but he only has 1 ring. So it's just really tough to kind of you know figure out what you want to do with your franchise. But as a Raider fan, just to kind of like really emphasize the fact that I feel like we need a quarterback. a solid quarterback. We don't need the best quarterback, but we need a Brock Purdy as well, who could definitely win us games and elevate our team. So we'll see what goes on there. And honestly, I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
have
man,
faith, and it's
absolutely.
one game away from the year ending. So after the year, whoever wins, Chiefs or Niners, it's another season, right? And we'll do this all over again. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point. I didn't even think about that. If like Jimmy makes that throw or he wins that game, maybe he still is with the Niners, and maybe we are more lenient. That's actually very true, man. I don't know, just the expectation, right? Like you kind of have the same situation with like Dallas Cowboys and the pressure of Dak Prescott or Jerry Jones having Mike McCarthy. Like their season was a success, but the way and how it ended, or not the ability to beat the Niners in the last couple of years, there is that pressure and there isn't room for error and no leniency. But yeah, man, to circle back down, do you feel like you have that in Aiden O'Connell, AOC, or do you guys feel like that's it's too early to tell, or you should still go get like another quarterback?
I mean, it's too early to tell. If I'm basing everything off his rookie season, like if he's not going to get any better, obviously, he's not cut for us making a long playoff run. But if he does get better, people, quarterbacks, improve, and if he learns the system a bit more and kind of, really, hits those accurate throws that he needs to throw, then yeah, But truth be told, right now, draft is coming. I hope we draft a quarterback. Regardless what round we draft a quarterback, I hope we draft a quarterback. And it's honestly very unsettling for to be a Raider fan at the moment, knowing that we have Jimmy G under contract. So what are we gonna do with him? We have AOC, which is a rookie and going into the second year. He did okay. He didn't do great. Honestly, I think we were one score away from winning multiple games because of our defense, and that score was super hard to get with the AOC as a quarterback, right? So I'm not, it's super unsettling once again. And if we do draft a quarterback, now we have a quarterback room of Jimmy G not ever going to start again because we basically benched him for at least his Raider career. Because to go back and forth with him and AOC, he's just I don't think that would happen. I don't, especially with the with our new coach Antonio Pierce. I don't think that he would go back to Jimmy G. I don't think he was a Jimmy G fan. But yeah, a quarterback room of a next year we're might have a rookie a second year, and Jimmy G is not the best thing to do. And I know yesterday while we were talking about kind of similar subjects, I know Oliver did mention Kirk Cousins, right? Personally, I have given that a thought as well, and I love Kirk Cousins, and he definitely played great with the Vikings, but he definitely reached a ceiling, and the ceiling was not a Super Bowl quarterback. However, what I mean,
Damn.
you never know with a different team, he might elevate a bit more. Then again, to contradict that, he is coming back from an Achilles tear, which is not something major for a quarterback that doesn't run. However, it's still a very significant injury, and I don't know. I don't think Kirk Cousins will be the answer either, to be honest with you. And just like the Niners, how Jose mentioned earlier, they were hoping and looking for a franchise quarterback that they hopefully have found in Brock Purdy. I want a franchise quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is. It's gonna be a quarterback that maybe even if he plays amazing, he's only 2-3 years, maybe 2-3 good years left in his career, and then we have to kind of go back again and start all over and find another quarterback. And there'll be nothing better than drafting a quarterback who can maybe be a CJ Stroud and take us for a long time to a competitive be a competitive team. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of AOC. Then again, I haven't given up hope. It's too early to give up hope, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, man. I didn't even think about that situation with Kirk Cousins. I was mostly like, if the Chicago Bears is kind of predicated about what they do, let's say they're looking to trade Justin Fields to pick up, Caleb Williams or any of the other quarterbacks from LSU or, North Carolina, I can see the Raiders. I didn't even like going back to it. I didn't even think about Kirk Cousins. That would be a great addition. The only thing is like you are already paying Jimmy Garoppolo a handsome amount of money. Kirk Cousins, at least what he was damn near getting guaranteed when he was the Minnesota Vikings, everything was guaranteed for him. It was like plus 30 million a year. And that would be a great addition because you guys are a quarterback away. And I think you guys can definitely win with Justin Fields and especially Kirk Cousins, bro. Like that dude is amazing. The way he picked the Niners apart, like in week 4, and he was doing it without Justin Jefferson. So imagine giving him a Devontae Adams, giving him a supplementary weapon like Jacoby Myers, a dope-ass running back, and Josh Jacobs, a badass tight end, and Michael Mayer. It's only going to be really nasty. And the underused, 5'6" guy, Hunter Renfrow. So, dude, I know you did weigh in the situation where he's like 34 years old and he is coming off an ACL injury. But Kirk Cousins, if you can get him on the cheap, woo, you guys got some nice QB. You guys gonna have
a his Achilles actually.
Damn.
Yeah, that's actually.
I thought it was his Achilles. I'm not sure.
I want to circle back down a little bit. Alrighty, man. Let's dive right into it with the Niners and the Chiefs.
Hold on, before we get into it, brought to you by your proud sponsor of Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Make sure you guys go get some.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to everybody that used the promo code for GameStop so you can get the Silent Hill 2. It's the Homie Ricky 101. That is the discount code for Silent Hill 2 for my video game PlayStation 5 or my PlayStation family that played since the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Silent Hill 2. I'm not too sure when it's the ETA of its release date, but use the Homie Ricky 101 promo code on GameStop website when it does come out. Shout out to y'all, man. You get 5% off. It's not bad. I want to go into talking about the Super Bowl, man. Okay, before we even get to it, let's talk about the Pro Bowl games, the evolution of the game in terms of, do you guys pay attention to like the gauntlets, the little quirky things, the flag football scenarios, all these little things that they do? Do you guys pay attention to that, like the Pro Bowl games?
I'll be quite honest. On my end, I have not kept up as much. I've lost a little interest in on that. I tune in every so often, catch a couple highlights, but it just doesn't hit like it used to for me.
Yeah.
You know what? I will say this. I did, watch the precision passing. I also watched like the punt catching, right? And I know there was multiple. I know before there was like dodgeball and flag football at a point too, right? I like the creativity. I like them, spicing it up, especially we all know, the All-Star games horrendous, right? It was literally, not even fun to watch it anymore at this point. It was just like, just to see, all the, the players together really. And I don't know about, most of you or any of you, but when I, used to, play Madden, back, routinely back in the days, I would always make my own team, right? Get all the best players, right? And basically make an all-star team myself. And that's kind of what we want to see from the all-star games, right? We want to see the best players, play with their full potential and know that, now, for instance, Tom Brady in the time where, he played with Wes Welker and Edelman and, no disrespect to those guys, but now, when he played with Randy Moss, it's definitely, an undefeated season, right? So, it'd be great to see, the best quarterback, for instance, even like Mahomes. And, it's tough that, Mahomes is in the Super Bowl and he can't play in the All-Star game, right? But if he ever was in the All-Star game, seeing Mahomes with, Adams and Jefferson, right? And just like, I want to see the full potential of what could be if that would ever happen, right? And thankfully it's not happening because, we don't want to see a landslide team just always taking over and winning, right? That's kind of, how this, how we started earlier, right? Mentioning, that's a great point on Oliver's case, just to kind of double back on that too, that, the Patriots were amazing for so long and they finally, gave up their quarterback and, and finally, it got a little bit more even in the NFL. And then, Mahomes came in with the Chiefs and now it's like, running it again, and especially for the, as a Raider fan and being in the AFC, it's like we finally got rid of, one ultimate team and with an ultimate quarterback, and they got replaced by another. And yeah, that might be the reason why a lot of football fans in general are just rooting against the Chiefs, just because we want to see somebody different. Then again, the Niners are not much different either. They've been in the NFC Championship, I want to say 4 years in a row, and it's great. It's always amazing, but then it goes back to my basketball fans. It goes back to when people got annoyed that the Warriors played the Cavaliers 4 years in a row, right? As a Warriors fan,
Yeah.
I loved it, but if I was anything other than a Warriors fan or any Cleveland fans, it does get to the point where like we don't want to watch this anymore. It just becomes a show that has multiple seasons, but the storyline's the same. And I don't know how many people would really be in tune to watching things like that, but yeah, the All-Star game is great, just to kind of really emphasize it's a great thing if they really played and gave it the all. But I do like the creativity with the precision passing, although and I'm gonna be real honest, because I've been watching the All-Star game since I was young, and I feel like now we don't even have, not only is it kind of watered down, but we don't even have the opportunity to watch even the best players. And I understand that they're not going to put the Super Bowl team to play. It's all right. It's always been like that, right? But
Yeah.
I think precision passing was what Tua, the AFC, CJ Stroud, and I'm missing the other AFC quarterback, but just to even kind of mention that, right? CJ Stroud, amazing quarterback, definitely precise and everything, but a rookie quarterback making the All-Star, well deserved, right, for sure. But it's just, I don't know. And then Tua, he's never necessarily been known for being precise and super accurate.
Man, according to Tyreek Hill, he's the most precise quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, Tyreek Hill also got paid
Quarterback,
a hefty contract,
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys on this. So, how do you make the Pro Bowl games exciting again? Because you stated, Rodrigo, you stated that you want to go back to like the early 2000s where it was really competitive. You are seeing the all-star guys, compete. You do see guys like that amazing receiver Josh something from the Cleveland Browns get flipped, around by the safety TJ Ward at the time. You were able to see kind of captains pick and choose the best players. In most other sports, like if we're talking about football, and all of these other, there's third place, there is bronze, right? The Olympics, there's gold, silver, and the third place game. Wouldn't you like to see maybe the Detroit Lions play versus the Baltimore Ravens for third place? Like, how do you go about it for the Pro Bowl game instead of flag football and all the shenanigans? Why don't you play them for a third prize? Maybe there's incentive for money. Maybe there's an incentive for another
7-on-7 tournament. With the alternates and the starters.
Yeah, but a 7-on-7 would be okay. But like, who are you excluding? The O line and the D line?
Yeah.
You see, I like seeing the physicality between the big men. You know what I'm saying? So like, why can't we play like a third place game? Why couldn't we get, let's say, the worst seed team, which would, let's say, be the Chicago Bears versus the second worst team in the NFL? Let's just say the Washington Redskins. There are probably some other team, but I'm just saying, why couldn't we get the worst two teams play if they have a similar record, let's say of 2-15, 2-14? Why couldn't they play to get the first round pick? Little things like that so people can actually tune in, because I'm not saying the All Pro weekend and the Pro Bowl weekend is like asinine and absurd, but really, people really aren't tuning in. They moved the venue from Hawaii, and everyone was always in the future looking towards to go to Hawaii. But now, like, they're allocating, that event to, let's say, Las Vegas or Levi Stadium and all these little situations. So it's losing that allure. Do you guys think that, playing for a third place game, or, if the two worst teams have the similar record, they'll duke it out for the first draft of the, you know what I mean? Like, do you think you guys would be interested in watching something like that, or no?
It gives us something to play for, man. I really do. That's not a bad idea, I really like that. Because where the Pro Bowl is at right now, there's nothing to play for, They're just doing it for fun. Tune in if you have time. Don't if you don't. Catch the highlights, So definitely, like, having those last seats play for like that first round pick. Oof, that could be interesting for sure. And then that third place spot too. That I don't, I know the whole league is trying to protect what the being more mindful of safety of players, you know, not trying to get them hurt. But man,
Yeah.
who wouldn't want to watch that Lions Ravens game? I think that'd be fucking dope too. You know, the two badass teams going at it. You know, just because you couldn't get that knock at for the Super Bowl, maybe that third place spot. You know, throw some incentives in there, and then it'd be good to go, man. I like that, homie Rick. I like it.
Yeah, for sure, man. What about you, Alvar and Rodrigo? Do you guys like the idea or nah?
I feel like maybe a dodgeball tournament with some incentives would be nice. You know, like they get to choose. You know, they get 4 and 4. They get to choose their teams. There's captains for each position. You know, and then we get to watch like a 3-day tournament of dodgeball.
You see, that's
with
fun,
footballs.
like it pulls
With
away from
footballs,
like,
though. With
stuff.
footballs.
What
They
what
play
about,
dodgeball with footballs.
you know,
Yeah, man.
kind of the
I'm
that's
not
actually
gonna lie to you,
dodgeball.
man. I don't get enough of football. Like I love the time waving period in the off-season moves that things are happening. But in addition, you know, I still, at least when it comes down to the football season, I wish it was a little longer, you know. But I understand the rigors of the sport. I understand how brutal it must be and the aching pains and just the ability to rest and recover. But you know, in the time season, you know, in the time off, you know, there's other sports that fill in the vacancy. But you know, I think the XFL or the Rock is doing like their own situation. Are you guys excited for that? Like their like semi-pro leagues?
I have heard that they've merged, right? What was it, the AFL and the XFL? Is that correct?
Correct.
But yeah, no, honestly, you know, I'm you know, I tune in once in a while. You know, I'll just kind of like, you know, turn on the TV, you know, and obviously not even expecting a football game and see that. And so, what I think would be great is if we really kind of made, and I know, you know, they, you know, The Rock or whoever the owner of the XFL or the AFL, the new I think it's the UFL now, or whatever it's called now. I know they might not be a fan of what my next statement, but I think it'd be great if we kind of made it kind of like a G League thing, right? Where like you want to watch this, you want to watch spring football, you know, and for more than just watching, you know, a team beat a team, because you know it's a brand new thing. Like, you know, we're just gonna pick a team and just, are they gonna have a fan base, you know, that, you know, is so loyal after like a year of the sport, you know, being here. But
Yeah.
you know, I would really like to see kind of like a G League thing where, like, you know, as a Raider fan, right? Like, oh, this is like the Las Vegas, you know, whatever, like horses or whatever. And now I get to like already have my decision picked out. Oh, I'm a Raider fan. Oh, then now I'm like, you know, I'm a spring football UFL fan too for this team already, since I already have a united front and loyal to, you know, the NFL team, and then that way too. It could be a great way, because I know that, you know, there's not necessarily, you know, multiple opportunities now. That it's definitely growing, but before it was like, you know, from college you made the NFL, and if you didn't, your career's done, right? You know, with the NBA you can go, you know, European League and plenty of leagues, Australia, the G League. So, you know, I know now that we have Canadian League, arena football, and you know, it's increasing a bit, and the fan base is getting, you know, to Europe, and it's getting to Mexico and South America, whatever, it's increasing. But yeah, you know what I mean, just to, you know, you have another opportunity for those great college players that, you know, because I love watching college football, and to see some players that don't make it to the NFL, you know, it's sad to, you know, the only time I see them after that is you know, with a suit, you know, being a sport analyst for you know, whatever. And yeah, you know, if I could see them, you know, maybe playing that UFL and still trying to compete, you know, to make it to the NFL, and it would be I know last year, I believe, right? The Browns got like the MVP. They got the quarterback that was the MVP of the XFL league, right? I think if that's kind of what went on. He did get a chance to play, you know, once Watson got hurt, you know what I mean? And then he got hurt, unfortunately, as well. But I think honestly, just, you know, that's what this league should really strive on, to, you know, give more people opportunity to play football, and, you know, kind of give him another opportunity to make it to the NFL without, you know, getting rusty. And like, for instance, Kaepernick, right? Kaepernick's on the NFL. Maybe he can go play for this league, and then instead of, you know, getting multiple tryouts and never making a team, maybe he can like prove it by, you know, winning the championship game and being the MVP for this league, right? But I'm excited. I hope, you know, I hope it's fun. You know what I mean? I hope it's fun. You know, I'm also a fan of the Big Three for basketball, right? So, yeah, you know, I'm definitely, you know, up for, you know, seeing our sport kind of, you know, increase and just, I really just want to see football all year long, right? And this is an opportunity to see it. So I'm a fan of it. I just
Yeah,
hope
right
they,
on.
you know, approach it the right way. You know what I mean? Because easily, you know, this league could easily vanish if they don't really try to grab a fan base, right? And I'm, you know, I think it's a cheating, it's a cheat code, to just grab the NFL's fan base, but it's also a great way just to give you a team already and then give you somebody to root for in spring ball. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I want to circle back. About 45 minutes ago, Alvar said something amongst the lines that he thinks that the 2019 49ers roster is better than this year's roster. And he said he's trying to have a little scapegoat, you know, just saying he's saying that, you know, this is the worst the Kansas City Chiefs team will be, you know, this year. So he's already assuming that they're going to be better next year and things of that nature because they're probably going to pick up another receiver. Rashee Rice will get better and things of that nature, right? So he's trying to be a little slick in a little bit, but you know, just let's actually compare a little bit of the Niners team from 2019 versus 2023, right? So there was only we had four first team all pros: Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle on the defensive side, Bosa and Sherman. That was 2019, right? And then in this year, let's see, Niners stats. Let's see, go to their roster.
Hey man, to be
Roster.
fair, I said that defense was better.
Oh, okay, the defense. Yeah. If you did say defense, I'll give you the defense. And then this year, I think we have a little more all pros. Let's see if the pro reference will let us know. But actually, I don't really see them annotated. But going back to that defense, we did have Kwan Alexander. We did have DeForest Buckner, DJ Jones, Jaquaski Tart, Emmanuel Mosley, Sherman, and Jimmy Ward, right? Our defense for this year, you know, we have Lenore, we have Travarius Ward to replace the All-Pro Sherman at the time. We did lose DeForest Buckner, right, to the Indianapolis Colts, but we did pick up a lot of defensive linemen, right? Chase Young, Randy Gregory, Javon Kinlaw was like basically the replacement that was supposed to be. We also picked up Javon Hargrave, who, after getting that $80-90 million contract from the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations. So how do you guys feel about that, Jose? How do you feel? Do you agree with Alvar saying that 2019 defense was much better than the year that we have this time?
And that's tough, right? Man, I want to say, yeah, it's so close. I don't think it's hard to say that the 2019 was better than this year. I know it's a little tough this year to say that because our defense has been, not playing as tough and as tough as they usually. They're allowing a little bit more on the runs. Stat wise, I think our numbers have dropped slightly. But the overall, the group that we have, D-line front still there. We still got solid cornerbacks, dope ass inside linebackers, and I even want to say that our safeties have stepped up a little bit more than the 2019, where if I remember right, in 2019, our cornerbacks were, I know on paper they look stacked, but we were just, there were at games where they were just getting burned, they were getting dusted, and that's kind of why those of that Super Bowl game kind of happened the way it did. Our corners, if I remember correctly, they were just getting dusted and burned. And I what I've seen this year, our cornerbacks have been holding it down, standing the ground. Everyone. It's just a matter of playing the four quarters. But both defenses, 2019 and this year, both have been solid. It's hard to say one is better than the other. They're slightly different in certain areas, but I like where we're at right now. I like the defense we have. What do you think, homie Rick?
Do you think that 2019 defense would give up a 3rd and 19 against this Detroit Lions?
Damn. Woo! I would. Damn. I would say no, because the impact that DeForest Buckner had, that dude was a force. I was really sad I was sad that the Niners let him go and then basically pay Jimmy Garoppolo that money. I wanted it for Buckner, man. I knew Buckner and Bosa would have been a force, nasty, as I'm looking at this all pro reference thing, we don't really have any. We have first team, pro bowlers like Bosa, he's a rookie, Greenlaw, and I mean Sherman, those guys were pro bowlers, but we didn't have no first team all pro. With this year, we actually have Fred Warner as one. I guess like he was in year one in 2019. Look, I will say this. I think back in the day, we had better coordinators, right? Offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I think at this time we had Greg Sala, and I like what he was able to do with that team more so what Steve Willis is able to do. I think comes down with scheme and really understanding players and putting them in position, not only to make plays, but to really impact and make a lot of pressure. When I look at our team by name recognition, let me pull it up. We should have, look at this, bro. Like Chase Young, that's a first rounder, right? Cleveland Farrell, that was a Raiders player. He was a first rounder. Drake Jackson was on the IR. Eric Armstead, first rounder. Javon Hargrave, $100 million man, basically an all pro for the Eagles last year, a pro bowler. Javon Kinlaw, first rounder. Then you add Nick Bosa, Randy Gregory, and all these guys for rotation. And I'm just like, in 2019, we had a rookie Bosa and DeForest Buckner, same Eric Armstead, who that year he had 10 sacks, which is actually really amazing. DJ Jones, I think we ended up losing them to the Denver Broncos, but our defensive line of 2023, 5 years later, is much stacked than the 2019 one. Linebackers, I do like this core. I do like K1 Alexander, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw a little more. K1 was nasty, but I feel like Dre Greenlaw has filled in that void, As for the back end, Sherman, I'm going to take Travarius Ward, the player that we got from the Chiefs. I think he's just fresher. He's younger. And Richard Sherman, when we got him, I'm not saying that he wasn't in his prime because he's still 31 years old, but Money Ward, he's in his moment, in his element. I'll take Lenore over Emmanuel Mosley, even though Mosley's still in our team right now, if I'm not mistaken. He's on the IR. But I'll take, even though Hufanga's not playing, I would take Tashawn Gibson over Jimmy Ward. And I'm going to take Jair Moore or Jair Brown? What's his name? And to replace Jaquiski Tartt. I love Tartt, man, but I kind of hate him a little bit because had he made that interception against Los Angeles Rams back in 2020, I'm like $5,000 richer, So it was one of those things where, he's on my shit list. So I'm going to say any safety that we have after him is just better.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I feel it.
Go down memory lane and just kind of read off the names. I think the 2023 defensive team is underperforming, but I think overall they should be better than the 2019 team.
Well said. No, definitely agree. And I think it really dials up to our defensive coordinators, right? We're like, we have right now, it's not maximizing the potential of the roster we have. We have too much talent on our defense to be giving up these third and longs, to be, I think we're ranking 25th on third downs. Like, that is ridiculous. With them, as much talent as we have, that should not be happening. So I do put that on the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, just like, I know the game isn't won by, just name recognitions and popular names, but there's absolutely, Alvar asked the question, do you think that the 2019 team is going to allow on 3rd and 17? And are we going to be ranked 25 on third downs? Absolutely not, man. We should be number one, on every single category just based off name recognition and how many first rounders, $100 million players that have on the defensive side of the ball. When I look back on the offense, sure, we got Brock Purdy to replace Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll take, Christian McCaffrey over Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert. Yep. We still have Juice. We still have Debo. He's a rookie at this time 5 years ago. Emmanuel Sanders, he was balling out for us that year, but obviously, Brandon Ayuk is much better, Yep. George Kittle, at the age of 26 rather than being 31, I'm going with a prime Kittle, 2019. But we did have Laken Tomlinson and Mike McGlinchey. And now, wow, I didn't even know at this time we didn't have Trent Williams. We had Justin Schooley.
I think Trent Williams has been a great piece.
Wow, I did not know that. Holy sh! What?
So offensively, our offense now this year is a lot more stacked than it was last 2019.
Yeah, I would agree. Wow, I thought we had Trent back in when we lost to the Chiefs. But what about you, Alvar? You know what I mean? You being a Chiefs fan, do you want to let the people know in the listeners how you became a Chiefs fan? Because I don't know, man. It's kind of dubious.
Well, I mean, pretty much I thought I was playing as the Niners when I was playing Madden when I was younger. Turned out I was playing as the Chiefs. So ever since then, I was like, you know what? I'm just a Chiefs fan because it was like fake that day, you know? Like maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know what I was doing, you know? Maybe I did know deep down inside I bleed that KC, you know, but I mean honestly, I feel like after I saw Jamal Charles play, I was sold, you know?
Got you. So basically, what you're saying is you accidentally became a Chiefs fan because you were thinking that you were playing as the 49ers because, you know, they have the similar, you know, red and gold, red and yellow type of colors. So you thought you were playing as the Niners, but in reality, it was a Chiefs fan. And then you're like, man, I'm balling out with this Madden team. I'm grinding. I'm putting all these hours in. And you're like, you know what? I guess I'm a Chiefs fan. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think after like the second season when I saw the alternates with the Texas logo, I realized it wasn't the Niners anymore. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just a Chiefs fan.
All right, got you, man. It's very interesting. That's pretty funny. I do want to ask you because we were kind of going down and comparing 2019 teams to 2023. Obviously, the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs are that much better than the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs, correct?
The 2019 one is better?
That question.
Yeah,
right?
what do you think? You guys had
I don't
Tyreek Hill,
know.
man.
See, Tyreek Hill is good, but like low key, I feel like now this Chiefs team's a lot better because you have a young Mahomes at the time. You know, you have Mahomes that wanted to always take the deep shot, always wanted the deep stuff, never was like want to like take what the defense was kind of giving him. And I feel like that offensive style like really fit Mahomes because like, you know, we have the speed, we're gonna beat you down the field. But I don't think it's better than what the 2023 Chiefs are now, where it's like this is one of our worst teams, but like there's still the point of making that Mahomes has been taking what the defense gives them. And not only that, at the time when we were in 2019, we didn't have a running game. Now we do. So that's like a huge like difference maker, in my opinion, too. Like that makes this
Didn't you
team
guys have
better.
McCoy back then, though? Shoot.
Huh?
McCoy, I think you guys had Sean McCoy back there, running back.
Yeah, but he wasn't too good. I mean, Damian Williams, I think that's who it was, our running back at the time.
Yeah.
I think it was Damian Williams that sealed the game. He was like if he had a big enough hole, he's taking it to the house, you know. But look at our offensive line. Like none of those guys that are named on there are no longer on our team at all. None of them at all. So it's like, you know, that offensive line was kind of like, it was good. It got the job done at the time, but it wasn't that good. Our tight end group got better. You know, Travis Kelce, yeah, he's a little older, but now we have Noah Gray, who's filling in really well for him. It can be like a second option for Mahomes. You know, we have more. I guess we have a deeper wide receiver room than compared to when it was just Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you guys had Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. I like Mitchell Schwartz at the time. I thought he was pretty good. Austin Ryder, he was all right. I don't remember the other two guys. When did you guys have that guy Scherf?
Who?
Did you guys have Scherf? Like,
Who's Scherf?
What's his name? You guys had two like all-pro linemen when you guys lost the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers. Do you remember their names? Like Eric Scherf or something?
Oh, Eric Fisher. And
Fish was it? Yeah, it might be Fisher.
Yeah, it was Eric Fisher and then one other dude. But no, we don't have them anymore. We pretty much just have this new iteration of the line. Like after that Tampa Bay Super Bowl, we were like, you know what, we're not gonna let Mahomes get hit like this again. So then they went out and drafted a really great center in Creed Humphrey, who's one of the best. He is the best center in the NFL now that Jason Kelce retired. He's undisputably the best. Then you also have Thuney, who's had a historically great career with the Patriots. that now is our right guard, and then you have Trey Smith, who's Dooney's our left guard, Trey Smith's our right guard, and Trey Smith, who had a really good career in Tennessee, but had like a heart thing that he had to like get checked out. Turned out it wasn't a big deal. He was first round talent, but fell all the way to the 6th or 5th round because of the fact of the heart thing and teams not wanting to take a chance. So, our interior 3 is some of the best, but the only thing that I feel like maybe was pretty good back then was our tackles. But even then, that's like kind of a stretch because I don't think we've had good tackles since Mahomes has taken over.
Yeah. No, I feel it, man. Yeah, just to circle back down, one of the things that you guys have different from, even though we're comparing the 2019, couple years later, or maybe the next year, you guys go to the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and company. So you guys did lose Eric Fisher, but you guys still have the similar linemen and your center, Austin Reeder. You guys have Andrew Wiley as well. And then you guys just kind of replaced them with, damn, I just had it right here. What happened to him? But yeah, so you guys have a lot of
Taylor, Thuney, Humphrey, Creed, and then I always forget the right tackle's name, but he's pretty good.
Yeah, so
Owen Smith.
Olin Smith. Yeah, you guys had like a couple of rookies, right?
No rookies, I don't think, on our own line. But I think this Chiefs offense or this Chiefs team is also better because of the defense. Mahomes has never played with the top 5 defense before in his career. Usually when he was making the Super Bowls, his defense was ranked somewhere in the 20s. So seeing how even with the kind of not less than capable, but a more like rotational type offense, and just taking what it's giving him and then relying on his defense more is something I don't feel like he was able to do early on in his career, but now he's kind of been able to do it more because the defense itself is, I would say, like arguably, like if you wanted to compare the Niners and the Chiefs defense, I'd say the Chiefs defense has showed up more consistently than the Niners defense, so that's what would make them better.
That's a hot take, but
I would actually agree with you, man. But I will say this: the 2019 Chiefs defense, even though I don't know what they were rated, but you guys had Chris Jones, Frank Clark. I think there was that speedster number 55 on your guys' team. He ended up becoming a Niner as well. You guys had Travarius Ward, who we now have, and you guys had Tyrann Mathieu. And then this year, I think you guys have that Houston Texans safety. But I don't know, man. I thought the 2019, maybe they're not comparable in terms of the stats. I don't really know. I'm trying to find it, but it's kind of weird to navigate here and so I can compare. But I like the 2019 team because Tyrann Mathieu was in his element, bro. He was in his prime. Charvarius, Ward, obviously the Niners end up poaching and stealing him from you guys, and we offered him bank. So we obviously saw his potential and his ability, to progress over the time, and he's been our best corner. But yeah, man, I know that you're trying to say and be very optimistic that 2023 team is a little better, but from a defensive scheme and standpoint, yeah, Steve Spagnuolo has done a great job, with kind of like the saying, less, and he's been able to do more with far less. But I like Damian Williams. It's just that you guys are very interested in like passing the ball a lot with Mahomes. But Damian Williams and even Charles Edward-Helaire and Pacheco, they're really underutilized in the Chiefs running scheme. This year, you guys had to rely on them more. But, Shady McCoy was still really good when he needed to grab the ball. And Damian Williams was still really fast. I think you guys had 2 Williams guys or something like that. They were pretty freaking good. And then you guys had Tyreek Hill. Man, that dude, I mean, I don't know. It says he was in his 3rd year when you guys had him at that Super Bowl, but dude, that dude's amazing. And Sammy Watkins, I don't remember how impeccable he was, but he was always a threat. And then Mecole Hardman had that one fade route when he burned Richard Sherman. So
that was Sammy Watkins.
That was Sammy Watkins?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I feel like Rashee Rice is like the replacement for Sammy Watkins, but you guys haven't been able to fill in that void with Tyreek Hill. Obviously, you guys still have Travis Kelce. So I think overall the 2019 team is better than you guys' 2023. And then for us, I feel like our 2023 49ers team should be much better than the 2019 from a defensive standpoint. But yeah, we've definitely underperformed. Just reading off the names earlier that we did, like, God, dude, like our corners, and our safeties, they're not all that. Middle of the linebacker core, we're still the same in the defensive line. I mean, DeForest Buckner, he's like a freak of nature, right? He's like 6'9", and Eric Armstead, you know, they're both compiling up for 18.5 sacks with Nick Bosa as a rookie. But yeah, man, I just feel like we should be that much better, and we really aren't. But yeah, you know, now as we preface this going into the Super Bowl, how do you guys see the game going? You know, how do you guys feel the game will go? Let me read a couple of the comments just so we can catch our breath a little bit. Sports Archives, man, just for you guys to know, he's one of our avid listeners. He's a Jaguars fan. So ever since we smoked them 34-3, you know, he's been extremely salty. I was kind of nervous because the Niners were kind of going on a slump, and then boom, you know, we just beat them at home. But he goes, one of Travis Kelce's endorsements is Pfizer, and their shareholders are Vanguard Group Incorporated, and they are linked to CBS, Paramount, DraftKings. The fix is in. He further goes on to say earlier, 49ers are going to lose. I'm telling you, the fix is in. Hold on. Let me remove myself really quick and then just read some of the things. Rodrigo goes, fire Kyle if they don't win. And then we just go on to, all righty. Sorry. Let me go on and say, all right. So we're just responding. Boxing with Frank Bay. He goes, nah, Jimmy sucked, and he was always injured. He goes on to further say, I was a Trey Lance guy, but Purdy played better, fair and square. Purdy don't look the part Purdy doesn't look the part or even play the part, but all he does is win. And I have to say that I disagree with him because Purdy is everything that we've asked for and much more. I mean, there's no way that the last pick chosen is playing or even in the same sentence as Lamar Jackson and all these players if, you know, he's not that good. So, you know, we couldn't do it with Trey. We couldn't do it with Jimmy in terms of making 4 or 5 players 1,000 yard. You know, Kittle had 1,000. Debo had 1,000. Ayuk and McCaffrey had over 1,000. Vince Vargas, man, one of our first listeners since we started maybe like 4 months ago. I am a fan of Pacheco. Sucks he was drafted by the Chiefs, 7th rounder. So I was always pulling for him to make the roster coming out of college. Boxing with Frank, I think earlier was kind of dismissive towards the Chiefs. The Niners are a real dynasty, not some Disney dynasty. So I think the Chiefs are, you know, he goes on to further state, I thought we were going to talk about the best team, the San Francisco 49ers, and their quest for 6. He goes, Chief fans, what the fuck? Hugo, my guy, Hugo Hernandez. Man, if you're still tuning in, brother, I miss you, man. I miss playing, you know, Saturday and Sunday football, tackle football without pads at our alma mater, high school. But all right, man. So as you guys have noticed in the background, I've had some archival footage of Hoser's glory days, right? This just to preface this, guys, Hoser was an amazing linebacker. In fact, his whole family, his whole bloodline, they're all incredible, you know, football players and just epic wrestlers and things like that. So they held it down for at least a decade at this school, followed with Rodrigo as well. And we all played for North Salinas High School. A lot of them, they played probably since Pop Warner. I started much later in my freshman year. But during this time, and as you see back here and this title right here, North Salinas Football 2008, Part 4R4, this team was 9-1. All right. And we were coached by an amazing coach and his twin brother, Steven Zank and Richard Zank. They, jumped ship and went to one of the more popular and more historical schools in our hometown, Salinas High. And they've done a great job with the Salinas Cowboys. We were North Salinas Vikings. But during this time in 2008, I was a freshman. They were a junior or a senior. They were 9-1 and we were undefeated. And it's incredible that, you know, I don't know if they were using the Motorola Razr phones here or the Sidekicks recording, but they have archival footage and moments. And when I tell you that these players were like modern legends, these guys were incredible. They were stacked in every single position, man. defensive line, offensive line. There was basically an all-county, tri-county, I think T-Cal. I forgot what we called them in our region, but they were amazing. And Gilroy at the time, I mentioned that they were 9-1, North Salinas. Palma, which is a private school, they were also 9-1, and there was this team out of Gilroy, the Gilroy Mustangs. They were 9-1 as well. And at the time when a few of them were playing against one another, I think the North Salinas Vikings were undefeated, 8-0, and the Gilroy Mustangs were 8-0 as well. North High smoked them. Okay, I think the score was like 42-7. All right, and our, one of our co-hosts and guests for today, Hoser, he had, I think, 2 interceptions, but one of them was like a pick six. Hoser, tell us like what you remember. Were you able to, record the video? Did they give you a copy of it? Like, just tell us your experience of you being of that amazing 9-1 team. Just tell us everything that you remember, brother.
Man, no, hey, way to introduce us, to bring us in there. No, that year, senior year, that was my senior year. Going against, I believe at that time we were 8-1, and Gilroy was undefeated at the time. We had just lost our one game about 2 weeks ago to Palma, and then Palma had lost their game to Gilroy. So it was like, just the top of the best teams going at it. Man, that team was stacked in every position, like you're saying. It was fun playing with these brothers. Oh, there you go. Look, that's me right there.
Right there.
Well, game started off. That was the second play of the game. First play, it was 11 guys to the ball, straight sacked the quarterback. This quarterback was being looked at for top colleges. Definitely just first play was straight up 11 guys to the ball. Second play, this quarterback here locked in on his receiver. It made it easy money for me. Read the play, threw it straight at me, and I was like, "Say less." Took it to the
man. My man stole number 5's pick. You seen that?
Hey,
that man was about to hop in and take that shit.
That's Fred Warner back there. All right.
But he took your number 7 from Sunshine.
Yeah. If it wasn't me, it's gonna be him. But that was ours for the taking. And definitely, yeah, it was just like everyone made a lot of plays. Man, amazing. I think, we ran it up 42-12 was the final score. Something about like after that quarterback was never the same. This was actually our school's, North Salinas school, 50-year anniversary. So we had a lot of alumni coming in the stands, and they showed up to the game. So that was an amazing memory for myself there. Which is like amazing. And then your guys' team, the freshman team, undefeated that year. So you guys just came off the field a couple, like maybe an hour previous to this, got you guys' dub, and then just continued it on our end. But that was an amazing game, man. I'm glad. I'm glad you got this. I don't even know where this footage is at. It's the first time I've seen it in a long time, and it always brings back that nostalgic memories, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so I can preface this, guys, in terms of what Hoser's talking about the quarterback. Not only was he highly recruited, but one of the reasons he is because at that time, like 15 years ago, they were basically running a situation of, I don't know, just empty backfield, right? And just kind of spreading the ball. His junior year, the guy's name is, I don't know if it's Jaime Jensen or Jamie Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
But Jamie Jensen, the Gilroy quarterback from the Mustangs, his junior year, he had 41 touchdown passes. Okay. He threw over 4,300 yards and 21 interceptions. So going back as a junior, going back to what Hoser was saying, he was really touted. There was a lot of scouts coming out of the situation. The kid's tall. He's got a really strong arm. He had good weapons, and he was running basically a pro or a college football offense. And his senior year, he regressed much more, and one of the reasons is I think both of these teams, like Hoser said, he was 8-1 and the other team was 8-0. He was continuing the success that he had as a junior, but this game right here shocked his confidence. And I'm not saying you didn't get to hear about him anymore, but you was like, they kind of regressed. Going back, there was a team called Palma, which is one of our private schools here. For those that don't know about the Central Coast region or the Salinas Valley, we have always had amazing talent come here. A lot of professionals. We have linemen that play for the New Orleans Saints, Carl Nix. We've had running backs. We have like our historic wall in our, going into our, our high school offense. There's office, sorry. There's trophies. There's historical players. Salinas High has always developed at least one professional athlete in terms of whether it's an all-star soccer member, a baseball player, and the name of Xavier Nady, who went on to play the Giants, the Yankees, and all these teams. We've always had amazing talents, but because of displacement or I wouldn't say gentrification, but we are very divided here. So we have maybe like 6 or 7 high schools. And imagine if we just had one huge high school with all these amazing we would be competing and beating all these private schools like De La Salle and competing up against their like San Francisco and San Jose that have over a population of 1 million people plus. So in Salinas, we're basically known for football, soccer. We have a top 5 nation soccer team, right, at Alisal, which they develop like they're damn near the whole team is filled with like Nike jerseys, Nike shoes. I'm not too sure if they're sponsored by them, but long story short, I don't want to get too crazy into it, but we've always had amazing talent. And this 2008 team, one of the beautiful things about this team, at least when we were kind of from an outsider looking in, we were young freshmen and, they always stayed together since they were kids in Pop Warner. Am I correct when I say that, Hoser? You guys stay together.
You probably have maybe 2 or 3 that throughout the either they stopped playing football. They did jump over to a different high school, but the majority of the collective group all stayed been playing since they were together since 10. Myself, I jumped in a little later and joined this team, but they were playing since Pop Warner all together. So. Man, the chemistry was there, the teamwork, like just everyone playing not for themselves, but playing for the team. It was a beautiful thing that we had built together, and great to be a part of, and great to watch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, hold on. I just barely read the text. So, Air Max 91, my check, brother. Can you hear us? And
yo, what it do, guys?
Yes, sir. You did, man.
North High too has also had a very good track record of developing female athlete talent too, with basketball, volleyball, and I believe also wrestling too. We have some of the best in those 3 sports.
Field hockey was also like the women's sport. Man, they stepped up too. Yeah, they were very always.
I think they won a CCS championship a couple years back after winning like I think 3 or 4 straight league titles.
Yeah, no, way to bring that up, Omar. Look at those young heads.
Yeah, man. So these guys, I don't want to necessarily name drop, but they had all of these players that you see right here. All of them played. Man, dude, it's a fucking legendary roster here, man.
Dogs, man.
Kind of skimming through it, but you guys had number 3, Mikey Benavides, Adam Santa Ana, I think rocking 21 or so.
Yep.
You guys had Bobby Batista, which is this kid right here, young man right here. Dante Mosley.
Charles are here.
Charles. I say Dante Mosley. You guys had Marquise Brooks, man. Whoever has this footage, this is crazy. Boss 378. That's crazy. I wonder what he was recording, man. Is that Marcos Martinez?
Yes, sir.
Damn, dude. What the hell, man? This team had swag. Every single one of these players, guys, I wish I can go to Max Preps and just pull up their stats. They just balled out. These guys were always played hard to the whistle, and you didn't even have to tell them. That was just the expectation. They were swarming. Bro, I'm not trying to glaze and trying to hype you guys up, but resume and record speaks for themselves, and this was probably the peak of North High in terms of the early 2000s, man.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Well, Kyle Balducci right there, I think.
Yeah.
I remember him. Shit. The twin. Yeah, dude, that's dope. Sunshine, bro. Chris Santana. He was our was he valedictorian or like class president or something?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. A scholar and a player. Look at that, Coach Ward. Okay.
Yeah, man. You guys had it all. And at that time, man, you guys were playing at the rodeo. They used to roll out grass, and there was nothing quite like playing there, man.
Those Friday night lights, man. They were something under those lights right there with those stadiums. The stadiums would be filled. That is crazy too.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. That was intense, man. That was intense. So just going down memory lane a little bit. What was your if you remember, what was when the season ended for you, Hoser
Yes,
and
sir.
Max and the people that were on that team? What was the closing speech that Coach Zhang? Do you guys still remember it? Like, what did he say to you guys?
Dang. I don't know word for word, but it was definitely one of those. I would not trade you guys for them. You guys are the team we rock with. You know, this was right after losing that. It was an open divisional game, open game. You know, for the playoffs our senior year. But he always backed us up, and his big like that's I can't remember the word for word, man, but it was definitely like you're the team I would ride and die with. I would not change any of you guys. I would not change any of the things that we've been through. Like it was something along those lines, and man, that hey, in those moments, man, those words mean a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Air Max 91 was on that squad too, man. Woo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My check, brother. Can we hear you? I saw it was on my end. I think it's.
Hey,
I
what's
don't know.
cracking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Do
no,
you
man,
remember the speech, brother?
remember, man. I don't. I mean, I didn't dedicate a lot of time to football. I wish I
Yeah.
would have. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I guess I could kind of recall like what Hoser's saying. I remember that kind of feeling, right? As he was saying that though, he's probably looking straight past me at all the ballers, though. You know what I mean? But no, it was a great experience being surrounded by a bunch of talented players. That's why it made me realize, my senior year, like, man, I really wish I did commit all 4 years. Just being surrounded by that much talent, it could definitely do that to you. Spark that interest and excitement, and I think that's why after high school, when we would just even be balling up on the Saturdays, yeah, it was cool. It was cool. All those guys, dope, super dope people, even better athletes. So yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because we were in the stands, and when you guys were talking about that Valley Christian team, when you guys it was like open division, I believe Hoser said. Yeah, that was the toughest competition that you were gonna go. I'm not too sure. Do you guys know if Valley Christian is a public or a private school? Do you guys know?
Private school, yeah.
A private school, yeah. So it's always, they get to recruit, they get to go to the and develop and raise these young men into strong as young men with giving them nutrition and weightlifting and all those regimens that public schools aren't privy to, because private schools, they come with resources and money as well, but that's just life. But I was gonna say, when I was a senior, I think like 3-4 years after you guys graduate, we weren't really good. I think we were 3-7 and 4-6. I don't remember all the quotes, but I do remember something that was kind of like Coach Zhang did say, like something about the lines of riding or die. And he did, oh man, he said, it was, yeah, dude, it was something like that. Yeah, he goes, if we're going to die, at least we're going to die together or something amongst those lines. And those words, because you are your senior class, a few of our players, they were from like Steinbeck Cubs, as you can see. I think hopefully Rodrigo is still there. Okay, he's got to add him back to the stage. He played with a lot of our players, guys like CJ Obella and Nick Alves, a lot of the guys that they played since they were Pop Warner. One of the things that you mentioned, Hoser, is that you guys stayed united. Unfortunately for us, when we were freshmen, after we were 10-0 and beating teams, we had this amazing running back named David Perez, who pretty much carried our offense, and our defense was stacked with amazing players, but either fallout of grades or, not really being attentive to practice. But a lot of our players were displaced and they left. They went to Salinas High and Alvarez because North High was deemed ghetto. Alvarez had the more, resources, and Salinas had the history behind it, So a lot of our players deviated and they branched out and kind of did their own thing. Some players followed coaches and things of that nature. So by the time, we were never really united, and it was very individualism, maybe the other guys can live to tell another day, but the players that did leave, but I felt like had we stayed a little united, we maybe finished off the year 7-3, 8-2. Few players got injured. Rodrigo, mic check, brother. Do you want to pitch in with a little bit of information? You might. Okay, yeah, I can hear you, bro.
No, yeah, I hear you. Nah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I think you nailed it right. Exactly kind of what you mentioned. I feel as if you know, the older we got, the more the year separated from freshman year, the more that we separated as well. As a team. I don't know. I want to say our senior year. If we do go back roster wise, um, yeah, I mean, a lot of those people playing for senior year weren't the ones playing our freshman year. So it was just a brand new group of guys, trying to dedicate their time to make the program work. But yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. I definitely wish our fairy tale would at least be at least would have ended and would have been scripted, as well as Jose Hosers and Max their senior year, right?
Yeah,
That definitely wasn't what it was, and it's super unfortunate because at least they can carry that to the end of their days, right? And
oh yeah,
and we got to kind of search a little bit more in the past, and we also got to like carry our freshman team with us as far as we go. But obviously um if I'm being honest, there's nothing more important than, at least in high school, right, than varsity ball, right? So
yeah,
yeah, no, it's definitely tough. I wish it would have been different, myself. I wish I would have been a bigger part of that as well. But um you know it happens for a reason, and I really hope that everyone at least enjoyed their senior year. You know, so it's tough. It's tough. It's definitely a tough subject because it didn't end how I wanted, and how you wanted it, right? And definitely not how North Salina should have been represented by us, at least, right? And every year,
yeah,
a different group of kids, put on those pads and represent that school. But I feel like the roster we had, definitely should have represented it a bit, well, way better than it did get represented, right? But yeah, it was tough.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, man.
just add on to that, like, hey, absolutely no doubt on anyone's mind that was around your guys' team that freshman year. Like, if that team, that core would have stuck together, no doubt on our mind, you guys would have done exactly the same or even better than what we did our year. Absolutely. Like, I believe our year when freshman year went 10-0, and your guys' year went 10-0. And aside from those years, I don't think it's been done. I might be maybe another team came by, but to go undefeated for a whole season, that's no easy feature at all. The fact that our team, or my team and your team were able to do that, that just speaks volumes of how much talent and stacked up we were. But I absolutely know that in my mind that, man, you guys had one of the stacked up teams. So it's only those man, what if that team would have stuck together? How far you guys would have come? Like, those what ifs are a little tough, but man, I'm glad we got to see you guys ball out freshman year, and what could have been, definitely.
I mean, hopefully later on with just to add on too with the, with Disney and Marvel's thing, right? The what if. Hopefully we get added we have an episode of the what ifs, and it's like, what if the 2009 freshman team stuck together, right? And that's definitely a great what if, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted like an hour ago, Max. Let me see if you're here, because let me see. All right, yeah. Like an hour ago, I mentioned when I was introducing Hoser and Alvar and company, I was asking them if you guys are still involved in the sport of football, or are we just kind of spectating from the outside looking in? And you being a coach,
Yeah.
what kind of insight, like what kind of perspective, because I feel like I'm very critical of Kyle Shanahan. I like the coach. I am a fan, believe it or not. Even though I criticize him a lot, but it's just because I have this anger or resentment towards our owner, Jed York, and stripping us of no longer having Jim Harbaugh. For some reason, man, I can't let that go. Like, this is like 15 years after the fact, or 10 or whatever, and I still can't let that go. And I guess you being a coach for high school, and kind of seeing from the other perspective, and the rigors of training and setting up a game plan. what kind of like insight can you give us in terms of, you know, a day-to-day what Kyle Shanahan kind of goes through in terms of selecting defense, offense coordinators, overseeing the big scheme, and like just talking to their players? Can you give us like a little bit of input? Like, what was the most challenging part for you? What was the most engaging part, and so forth?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think, you know, so I coached football 1 year, Rancho San Juan High School, the new high school here in Salinas. It was at the junior varsity level. It was my first year coaching. You know, super excited to take it on, but didn't have a bunch of football knowledge, right? So for me, it was a lot of dedicating a lot of my own personal time to further learning the game, right? Learning the positions which I was set up to teach these kids, right? Because they didn't know themselves. So whatever I taught them, they were going to be trusting me to give them the best, right, skills to compete in a game competitively. So for me, it was a lot of game planning, a lot of making sure when I step out there on the field, the kids weren't going to look at me and I was going to be like confused or dang, I don't know what we're going to do next, or hey, what are we, you know, no downtime, right? So it takes a lot of prep time, and that was just on the junior varsity level, coming from somebody, right, just like freshly a fresh coach, right? But if you think about the head coach, head varsity coach for Rancho San Juan, Troy Emery, super cool guy, right? But a lot of pressure on his shoulders, being the new high school, trying to be competitive, trying to gain respect, and also, you know, doing everything you can for these boys out there to make it fun, make it competitive, and hopefully get them to the higher next level, right? So there's a lot that comes behind him, and we don't really think about that on a day-to-day, right? We, especially when we're watching NFL level, we're just, it's easy to point the finger and just be like, oh man, you should have this or did that. But it's not that it makes me feel more for like Kyle or anything like that, but I definitely try to be like, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, right? He has to manage his coaches, his staff, his players, while also, you know, like, I'm sure that takes away from his family time. I'm sure it's stressful. So there's a lot that goes on behind it. And to bring this amount of success that he has, you know, I mean, yeah, he has had a lot of blunders and it's frustrating. Like you bring up, right, with Jed York and the Niners organization in general, man, it's, I wish we could have had Jim Harbaugh. I know we would have been on a roll, man, dynasty wise. I mean, at least I would hope so. But yeah, man, I try to have that different perspective. It takes a lot. It's a lot that goes beyond just you know, play calling on Sundays, all the prep work and everything else. And you got to earn that respect from your players, right? On a JV level, even that was like intimidating. But I can only imagine trying to lead grown men, right, to the ultimate victory, Super Bowl. So yeah, man, I try to look at it like that. But then
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also, you know, I'm a fan and like, come on, just win, bro, just win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to like focus on a little bit. You said something pretty interesting. Like there's a little, you said a little more behind the scenes. At the high school level, kind of like Jim had, he was, you know, arguing and going there was back and forth with Trent Baalke, the general manager of the Niners, and the owner Jed York. You know, they were kind of butting heads in terms of just being accessible or how they condone or behave towards one another. Is there a lot of politics like at that high school level, even so that you have to kind of navigate through the boosters and like the athletic director was, you know, you mentioned there's much more going on behind the scenes rather than just, you know, play calling on Sundays. Was there something that you were privy to, like in terms of like, nah, man, you know, it's what can you give us on that insight if there is at that level?
Yeah, you know, I'm positive there is. I didn't get too much of that. I was focused on kind of what I had to do and what I was given, right? But the athletic director at Rancho San Juan was pretty cool. It seemed like he had a great relationship with Troy. So, you know, that probably helped that they did have a good relationship. But you know, I'm sure like there is a lot that goes beyond it, right? As a football coach or as a coach for any sport, you want the best for your athletes, right?
Yeah.
That takes money, right? And to be able to get that kind of money, you gotta, you know, divvy it up between all the different sports at the school. And since that, you know, Rancho San Juan being a new school, they didn't have a lot of like, we had one small gym, very, very tiny gym that all the sports had to share, right? So you had to slot in a time, right? So it was, even then it was just like very hard to get in. So but I mean,
Interesting.
I didn't get too much into the politics type of stuff, nothing that I seen too much. But I'm
Yeah.
sure that it's like everywhere else, you know.
Right on. Yeah, because I wanted to focus a little bit about that because we like during our high school years and your high school we had the same varsity coach, right? Coach Zank. And
Yeah.
I forgot exactly where he came from in terms of like if he was born and raised in this area or if he played college level at Iowa. I think that was the case. And I think he might have tried for the New England Patriots. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys can fill me in those particular details. But we used to, and you guys remember, he used to have these like discount cards, and during the summer, so we can pay off for our jerseys, they had like 5% off Quiznos, Subway,
Yeah.
Foot Locker, Champs, you know.
Yeah.
And he would basically, whoever was his plug, right, his connect, to like get these deals so we can fundraise and make the money for tri-tip sandwiches and get more jerseys and buy football machines for his wide receivers, you said you guys had to share and there was a budget and then has to be allocated through all these sports. One of the reasons why Coach Zank, if I'm not mistaken, left was because he was kind of butting heads with our athletic director. And he was like, look, bro, I raised all this money and you're not giving it to my boys, and he was really upset. I could be wrong. I don't know if this was hearsay, but these were kind of like rumors that were circulating around that basically led to the departure of him going to North High to Salinas, because he did have the backing of people that really were just driven all about football. He didn't really care about the other sports. If he's raising all this money, but as the athletic director, they want to get new volleyballs, new volleyball nets, and she has to look at it from a different perspective of funding all sport departments rather than just football. Do you guys remember any of those conversations, or am I just like, nah, you just envision the story that never happened?
to step into it, I feel like wanting to be an athletic director and seeing how much actually goes on with it, not only at high school level, but then collegiate level, and then even, an athletic director at a professional level is more of a GM of a team,
Yeah.
And the entire sole responsibility of the athletic director is you're managing all the funds for all the like sports, and at the time, like North High was winning a lot, so it's like obvious, like, money's going to go there. But then I think in more recent years, the reason with the fall off of like just sports in general for North High is because the sports for the guys, at least we weren't living up to our part anymore. So, our athletic director was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to put money into the girl team because they're going to like winning these leagues every single year. They're getting better. They probably need newer stuff. And like having the balance between all that and being able to like divvy up the money. And I think also it's kind of like we don't have a lot of boosters or fundraisers or stuff like that, where I felt like it was more by the book for us, where like other schools, they kind of had a lot more liberty in fundraising and being able to raise money. And I think the light thing is a huge thing still, because two different head coaches later with Ciraldi, I know that he's been wanting the lights for the home stadium, and now that Miss Ashton is going out the back door, there's the possibility that those lights might finally get approved. But I think just being able to like now have somebody invest into maybe our football team with a new athletic director might be a good change.
Mm-hmm. No fucks. Nope. No, big time. I definitely, the Coach Zank and the athletic director, I think the reason Coach Zank did part ways is due to the like a lot of the funding at that time. At the time Coach Zank was there, football was winning a lot of games, bringing a lot of revenue in and a lot of stuff, but none of the funding itself was being brought back to us outside of what Coach Zank set up for us and the funding that we did for getting our jerseys and all that good stuff. Nothing more was really coming our way, and I think that's kind of where they definitely butted heads, and Coach Zank eventually parted ways due to the just not being able to agree on where the money should have been allocated. So yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes going on, like Air Max was saying. So That's crazy. Sometimes you don't think about it. You're just focus on the sport, focus on winning, right? But there's so much that goes into it. So that's crazy. And this is just high school level that we're talking about right now. So you can only imagine as you go up on the next level, so from college to professional level, like that's crazy, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's one of those things. Like I think you guys mentioned, I think it was Alvar or Rodrigo. He said, if Jimmy G had won the Super Bowl, or in that case, Jim Harbaugh as well, is he still with the 49ers? Goes back to winning as well. If Coach Zank wins or takes that team to state, during that year, maybe he's still, maybe the athletic director understands the funds and like, what, football is the motto. That's what's, making the headlines coming out in the newspapers, boosters or people want to get involved. So yeah, there's a lot that goes on. Alvar was talking about from looking at the big scheme of things and how things played out. You do see, the women, what they call chicks with sticks, right? Field hockey. They were always winning tournaments and really like doing extremely well. But yeah, man, just tie it back a little bit with Jed York and Jim Harbaugh. I always felt that resentment towards Jed. I know this is his team. He is the owner of the 49ers. But I was like, man, how can you look? I don't know how they were butting heads. I don't know if Jim wanted more control. I don't know if he was dismissive towards the owner because, Jed wanted to be really involved. He was really young. And now, as you can see, as he hired Kyle, he's taking more of a step back and playing that owner role. And as we know, when we hear about the situation with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, him being GM, people always be like, no, you got to hire a real person. You can't just have, you need a real head coach and things like that. So there's a lot that goes on behind. Like, these are billionaires, right? Like, how can you tell people to back away from, their baby, so to speak, and be like, no, you can't be involved. So again, I'm not saying that's what happened with Trent Baalke and Jed York and Jim Harbaugh. But that's what was kind of going out in these leaked interviews that was happening. But yeah, I always feel like this anger, because if Jim Harbaugh doesn't depart from the Niners in 2012, 13, or 11, Patrick Willis maybe stays and plays another year. Same thing with Justin, the Cowboy Smith. All of these players, there was a mass exodus and departure when Jim Harbaugh was let go, mutually agreed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I always bring this back is because the expectation, I kind of have to put Kyle at that, and just be like, well, Jed, didn't you say the reason why you let go of Jim Harbaugh was because he didn't win a Super Bowl? To Alvar's point, how much more help does Kyle Shanahan need? John Gruden is an understandable GM, an amazing GM. He makes these blockbuster mid-trades, acquiring Randy Gregory, Chase Young, 2 years ago, Christian McCaffrey, for pennies on the dollar. And I'm like, all right, Kyle, here's this team. You got this GM, you got this owner that maybe learned from his past mistake in Jim. Get this shit done. And I know it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy to win in the NFL, but when you have X amount of $100 million men, when you have like 7 first rounders, Alvar last night, he said, I've seen teams do far more with way less. A case example, look at the Chiefs, right? Alvar is saying this is the worst the Chiefs are going to be, and look how great they are. They beat Baltimore Ravens, they beat Josh Allen in the Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and all these teams had a lot of momentum. Conversely, same did the Niners. We beat a team as the Green Bay Packers that had a lot of momentum, pretty much blowing out the Cowboys and winning 5 out of the last 6 to close out the game. Detroit Lions were one of those teams, Cinderella team that everybody loved and admired. And even us as Niner fans, like, dude, Dan Campbell is a player's coach. That's somebody that we would, pretty much put our life on the line as well. So we played some tough teams, but like, Kyle, you got to get it done. So as we go into 7 days, as the countdown, from 140 hours left,
Damn.
Is this the year? How you guys feeling? Is this the time, bro?
I think if Kyle Shanahan can trust Brock Purdy throughout the entire game and doesn't start calling the game differently, I could see the Niners being in it. But like, look at that Green Bay game. Yeah, you could say Kyle Shanahan was like, oh yeah, you know what? My quarterback's throwing ducks. Like, it's raining. Like, why am I going to be throwing the ball? But low-key, like, looking at that game, it almost felt like he was calling the game for C-Mac rather than for Brock Purdy, because it looked like he started losing trust in Brock Purdy again.
Or think about it this way, flip side, different perspective, right? It's not to say that he lost faith in Purdy, but it's a rainy day, it's a rainy day, it's a rainy game. You have a monster in CMC. Maybe I want to say from the very get-go, the ball should have been allocated to, and put in McCaffrey's hand a little more often. Instead of trying to but like put it through the air so often. Switch up the play style and give it to McCaffrey. It's not that he lost trust in Purdy. It's that he realized, like, hey, okay, what am I doing? Let me feed the beast that I got behind Purdy over here. Give him the ball and just make it easier on ourselves. Like sometimes, like I do, like in that game in the beginning of the half, I'm like, why is Shanahan making it harder on himself than it should be? Give the ball to McCaffrey. I don't think he lost faith in him. I just think he realized, like, hey, there's an easier way to go about this. And then you put the ball in Purdy's hands when in those little plays, those little play action plays, or the little screen passes that you need to, right? But I think I don't think he ever lost faith in Purdy. I just think he realized that, like, there's a different approach to this game because of the weather. The weather is going to affect the game and affect how it gets played. And I think maybe at first he was really set on a certain scheme that he wanted to run and realized, like, hey, maybe that's not the best thing to do today, potentially, right? Just that's my take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I agree. I think you guys talked about it last night as well when we met up. You guys were saying that Kyle needs to ease up with Brock Purdy a little bit and just get him back into the flow of the things. 70 million, 40 million people are going to be watching, even more so in halftime. Everyone's going to be tuned in. So just kind of understand that Mahomes, the Chiefs have all the leverage. They should be favored because they have all the experience. You have a cool and calm demeanor with Patrick Mahomes. Don't matter if you're down 20-10 as he's in his rookie season. Going into, you got to ease up with Brock and just get him in the flow state of just like, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to ride McCaffrey. We're going to get you simple, easy throws, and then boom, then open up the playbook. So do you think Kyle will do that? Do you think that he will learn from that mistake that he did, like passing 4 out of the 5 times, even though they were having extremely success against the Baltimore Ravens on Christmas Day on the Monday night when like 40 million people were watching, and then he throws that interception to Debo, and then from there, it's just trajectory all downhill. Is just boom, there's another pick and another pick. Do you think Kyle will learn? Because one of the biggest mistakes, or at least one thing that I've always realized with Kyle, is he hasn't learned. He doesn't learn from his mistakes. He's blown leads, not just with the Atlanta Falcons, 8 years ago when he had a top 5 defense with guys like Vic Beasley and things of that, rookie defensive player of the year as a pass rusher. They had prime Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, Mohamed Sanu, MVP Matt Ryan with over like 40 touchdown passes. He did it. He also didn't really learn from his mistake against Patrick Mahomes in 2019. So I'm like, will he learn from that, erroneous play calling mistake of just thinking Brock Purdy is going to light everybody up? Because the halftime score was 17-16 or something like that, right?
Which one?
The Baltimore Ravens game.
Oh yeah, something like that. We were in it. We were still in it at that point.
Absolutely, we were in it, and then he gets benched, and it's like 33-16, and we put in Sam Darnold. So I don't want to confuse you guys. I might, we probably were talking about the Packers, and I went on to the Ravens. But you think Kyle will learn from this year in those situations, in those moments, or do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to clutch it out and just overcome? Like, how do you guys like? I mean, it's kind of hard. We can't predict the future, but
we hope he learns. We definitely hope he learns. Like, time after time have shown, like, hey, just trust in and all the personnel you have, right? Not just, don't put it all on Brock Purdy, don't put it all on CMC, don't put it all on the defense. Distribute the workload on the way to amongst the amazing talent players that we have in the team, and even staff that we have, coaching staff. Like I do want to. We have no unfortunately, we have no other choice but to like really trust that Kyle will learn. And only time will tell, right? But I think this year is the year where, like, at some point you have to learn from your mistakes in the past, and if not, then I kind of like, it gets to, like, I know some people are like, hey, if he doesn't win it now, do you start making the conversation whether you cut Kyle, right? I don't want to jump that far and be like, hey, you got to cut him, right? No, but it also depends on how he comes out and plays on that Super Bowl night, right? Like, depending how how that game is played. Say the Niners don't take this win. How like what behind it is the reason why we didn't win? Was it the bad calling? Was it the did he? So because he has Kyle Shanahan has a really bad record of once we're ahead, he just like lays off the gas pedal and just plays very conservative and switches up the whole game style. That's not gonna work. Keep doing what works, keep doing what got you there. And so I guess this is gonna be a good eye test for us to really see if he has been able to learn from his past mistakes. Everything is to me is telling me and pointing that he will. That I think this team is ready, and I think they're hungry and ready to get over that mental hump, I guess you want to call it, like where like, and that goes for everyone, the players and Kyle, So just curious to hear what everyone else has to say on this one.
I think it's how they ease in Brock Purdy into the game. Like, if you're going pass heavy first like couple series, I think you're gonna have kind of a shitty game because Brock Purdy he literally has shown that in the big games, in the games where a lot of people are watching, he looks a little more tense. He looks a little more like, okay, this is there's pressure on me now, And like, let's be real here. There really hasn't been an expectation on that Brock Purdy has to win every single game. Like when he lost to the Ravens, everybody was like, okay, yeah, but that's the Ravens. When, he lost to, I forgot what other team you guys lost to, but like even those games where it was like, Cleveland has like one of the historically best defenses at this time. And then I forgot what was the other team you guys lost to too. But like it wasn't there. The Bengals, oh, well, they have Joe Burrow. Like, how are you guys going to compete against Joe Burrow? It was your defense's fault that Joe Burrow picked you guys apart. So the expectation has never been, Brock Purdy, you have to win this game for us, because it's never been completely on his shoulders. Where, like, on the flip side, you have Mahomes, where like every game is dependent on how he plays. And like, you're in the Super. This is the only reason where you're like, I would be like, yeah, you know what? Chiefs should be favored, even though they're not. The odds are saying that Niners are going to win. But I think this is where he should be favored is Mahomes. You look at those first like 2 Super Bowls, he looked like, a little nervous. Like he could kind of see it. He wasn't playing his same self. He was like, you could tell he looked a little nervous. And then, like finally this last Super Bowl against the Eagles, you saw he was calm. Even after like he was like not playing too well, he was still calm. He didn't look like he was distressed. I mean, obviously he had the injury, but like he didn't look like distressed. And this is his fourth, or I think 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is his 4th Super Bowl. So like looking at it now, he's used to a big moment. He's used to like, okay, I've been here. This is my 4th time. Like I know what to expect. I know what to do. And Brock Purdy, I mean, as much as like we all like him, I think he's an above average quarterback. I think he's a better version of Jimmy G. Just like if Jimmy G would still run, like, But pretty much, I just think the moment's going to be really big for him. And we get to the quarterback pretty good, well, at least the Chiefs do. And I think if like we get to him and he tries to force in a ball like he did, or throw it back across his body like he did with Juwan Jennings, and like the Chiefs, they're opportunistic, like they'll jump at a ball and pick it off. And so now you're looking at the entire Jalen Hurts thing. When he threw that pick 6, like Brock throws a pick, how is he going to play from that point forward? And not only that, but how's Kyle going to call the plays now from that point forward?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Alvar. I want to. All right. There was a lot that was said right here. So, I think it was Hoser or Alvar. They said something about Kyle Shanahan, right, and how he plays and the outcome of the game. If the Niners do lose, right, you guys talked about it a little bit, and you guys mentioned it. Do you maybe look to get Bill Belichick, right? Depending on the outcome, depending what plays were there. Let's say this is Kyle Shanahan's fault and he does choke a lead, right? Look at Dan Campbell. Everybody was revered and loved this man. And then they were like, bro, why are you going in on 4th down? This is playoff football. You got to kick the field goals. And then people are disgusted by him. That might happen with Kyle Shanahan. If something similar like that does happen, do you look to part ways with him? Do you demote him if he's even willing to, just be offensive coordinator and then bring in Bill Belichick? What do you guys think about that take? What do you think about Bill Belichick maybe pending the outcome?
I see over here. At least his comments. Kyle Chokahan. It's funny as hell. Now I'm very curious to hear what Air Max has to say on this one right here. What do you think, brother?
About Bill, I don't know, man.
Or just Kyle, and potentially like if he like ends up kind of choking, do we find a replacement? Do we stick with him? What are you thinking?
I don't think you just get rid of him like that, but definitely the conversations are going to be like wild, you know, and rightfully so. It's going to be tough to come back with something like that. You know, it kind of gets you thinking, what is the locker room going to start thinking, right? I mean, you got players like Christian McCaffrey who's making statements like, I'm so proud to be on this team and this and that. And why would you not? You know, surrounded by all that talent all the way to the Super Bowl again. And he just came to the team, you know what I mean, last year. So it's how are the players going to start looking at you as a coach? You know, maybe they're ride or die. You know, maybe Kyle has that much of an impact in the locker room. I don't know. He seems pretty like a reserved type of guy. You know what I mean? I don't know. I know like Harbaugh. You know, he brought that energy. You know, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I agree too. Like, I'm not really quick and easy. Like, I'm not jumping off the boat, right? I'm not thinking. Kyle would have to kind of severely call a horrific game for me to be on that. Like, all right, I think it's maybe I have that conversation, but I really do think like to Air Max's point of view here that you know, it's all about the locker room and having those players. Like once you lose the locker room, then okay, now we gotta have those conversations and start looking outwards. But if you still have the locker room and if you still have a group of guys like McCaffrey, Fred Warner, Purdy that still believe in Kyle and then believe in what he brings and believe that they still got a shot, and the trust the decisions that he made, then you stick with them. You keep riding with it because it's always easy to say like, hey, all right, it's not cutting out. Let's go look for somewhere else. But do you know how hard it is to really find an elite fucking coach that like really like puts your players in and that opportunity to win and that successful kind of like the Niners have been really successful these past 3 years, like on the way to be successful, right? Because it's hard to say successful when you don't win that Super Bowl, but they've been in it every year. They've been NFC Championship. They've been going to it time after time after time, and that doesn't just happen by luck. So I think Kyle is really at part of the reason why we're where we're at and why we keep showing up and knocking on this door, right?
Yeah.
So I don't say, and then I know a lot of like the talk here is like, well, do you bring in Bill Belichick? But like, what if he's just not a right fit, right? What if he can't win what if he can't win over the locker room then? You know, or you bring him in and then it doesn't play out, then we're scratching our heads again and looking to like rebuild again. And sometimes it's like, hey, what we have, so you just gotta trust in it, you know.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I think to allude to what Alvar was saying a little bit earlier, where I know you it doesn't sound like you trust in Purdy as much. Where like I feel like I believe that Purdy is a very confident player for being a year two. He's extremely confident in himself and what he's capable of doing, and I think the team also recognizes that and is right behind him and rocks with them. And you know, it's a matter of not don't give out like Kyle. Don't put all the pressure on Purdy. I know we don't expect Purdy to win us games, and that's because we don't have to. We have so many talented, so many players, a great team built around him. So yeah, we don't need Purdy to go out there and sling and win this game for us. All he has to do is just believe in himself, be confident, and make the right choices as he does. It's very rare when he gets himself in his head and really starts. When he starts to force things, or when Kyle puts it all like just go through the air, I think that's kind of like, hey, you're not utilizing the team for maximizing the team's potential of winning when you do that, because it should never be all air. Not when you have a CMC in the back, right? And you should never not all be all run either. Not when you have Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle. You have all this like threat and passing. That should be a well balanced, if at all, you know, to really maximize what the team is able to bring to the table. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's actually a really good point. I don't think you deviate from having a lot of success, right? You did say that we're knocking at the door, but when you put on that, you know, CJ Gardner ski mask, walk in there and cock and slide that shotgun, boom, boom, and just break down the door. You know, I feel like with Kyle, you have this team. You have this team, a bunch of studs, bro. And it's just like this game on paper should not be close. You know, no disrespect to the Chiefs, but they've overperformed the last couple of weeks. I can give you beating the Miami Dolphins. You know, the Miami Dolphins from a defensive standpoint, they lost all their players. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. They lost their linebacker, their strong safeties, Howard and this other guy, Holland, if I'm not mistaken. They were banged up, right? And even though they have a fantastic defensive coordinator from the ex-49er, Vic Fangio, I can give you guys why you guys beat them. And it's like 2 degrees, probably stomping on damn near dry ice. Josh Allen and them, that was a fantastic game. Mahomes always just comes clutch. And as great as Josh Allen is, he doesn't make that 1 or 2 throw that needs to be just to seal the game. And even if it does, and you give Patrick Mahomes 13 fucking seconds, march down the field, overtime, boom. Lamar Jackson, he kind of choked, you know. So I feel like the Chiefs have overperformed, over-executed. I know they've been top defense all year, probably top 5. But the Niners have this roster. If you were to compare, you can't make the comparison. Niners are just that much more stacked. We have that much more all-pros, defensive side and the offensive side of the ball. So I'm not saying on paper the Niners should hands down dominate. That's why they should be the favorite. But the last couple of weeks in terms of the playoff season, bro, this is torture football from the Niners, right? Basically got outplayed and out-hustled by the young Bucks in the Green Bay Packers, right? Where Jordan Love towards the end choked. The Detroit Lions, you know, a couple of mishaps, you know, just from situational play calling from Dan Campbell, even though that's the system that he's always gone for on 4th down, you know, it bit him in the ass come down crunch time in retrospect, right? So I'm like, damn, Niners, you guys got to put it together. But on the positive side, like you said last night, Hoser, at least we know that we haven't really played perfect 4th quarter football. It's always been making the adjustments at halftime. Alvar tried to say that, you know, Brock Purdy is just a middle or to above the average quarterback, but I'm taking Brock Purdy over Josh Allen and Dak Prescott, especially on playoffs. Maybe on a consistent career basis, yeah, you have more of a sample size, but Brock Purdy has outplayed them, you know, in multiple, since basically he became a starter. And when we look back, you know, a game manager, that's basically what you've been asking Patrick Mahomes to do all season. He hasn't had to really go into his bag of tricks and be perfect because he doesn't have that team. A lot of the games, the receivers have dropped in the passes, you know. They've actually relied more on Isaiah Pacheco in the running game. And then up late has been Rashee Rice, and Travis Kelce it's a down year for him, down year for Mahomes. So he's essentially just now made a lot of turnovers, you know. Where conversely, Josh Allen in the beginning half of the year, he was horrible. The whole Bills team was terrible, you know? So when I look at Brock Purdy, I'm like, he's not only exceeded his expectation, but he's been playing damn near better than all of these all-pro or damn near, you know, Madden football cover players. So I have to say Brock Purdy all year has been the best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe you can probably put Lamar Jackson, but if you compare the stats, Brock Purdy is light years ahead, except when it came down to, you know, one regular season game, which was on Christmas night. You know, he did suck. But the other 3 games where we were on a slump, Brock Purdy played pretty good against the Browns. If that guy kicks and makes that ending field goal, we win that game. We did get beat by the Minnesota Vikings, but Kirk Cousins played fantastic, and that was the defensive side of the effort.
You know what? And that's also something that I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. If the game comes down to a field goal, is Moody making it in?
Yeah, you know, but even though people were like, "Oh, you guys lost to the Browns," they kind of basically blamed Brock Purdy. Why wasn't it a touchdown? So if Moody does miss like a, you know, quote unquote chip shot, when there's no such thing as a chip shot, especially when it's that much pressure, especially if it's a go ahead kick for the win.
Well, I feel like that game too, you saw Kyle Shanahan not kind of trust Purdy because I think Purdy had like 2 picks that game. And Kyle Shanahan, instead of no, against the Browns where they missed the field goal. I think he was driving down the field. They had 2 timeouts, I believe, in like 40 seconds, but for some reason Kyle just wanted the field goal for the win instead of trying to get down and trying to get closer. He just kind of settled for the field goal and was like, damn, we lost. Like, like you guys lost because of that like horrible play calling, because Kyle was like, nah, I don't want to like keep trying to push the needle,
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like in that game specific, I think like he knew what it took just to like win a game. If it field goal is gonna take you and win you the game, then a field goal is what he was going for. I don't think necessarily it was like that he doesn't trust or lost. Like didn't trust Purdy on that. It's just like, hey, he trusted Purdy enough to like, hey, we need a field goal. Let's chop it down. Let's get to the 30-yard line, 35-yard line, and let's get this kick and let's call it like let's put this one like let's go back, watch the film, and see where we can correct. Right. I think that's where that mentality was at when Kyle was calling that game. Not to say that like, yeah, okay, maybe he should have. Another way, so what? Go try to go for the touchdown. It's just like he probably just didn't think the touchdown was necessary. Like we have an amazing kicker in Moody. Yes, time that game, and there's been a couple misses here and there where it's been a little crucial, right? But you can't lose faith in your kicker, and you can't play the game differently. If you get in range and it's time to kick the ball, then it's time to kick the ball. You can't lose faith on your quarterback. You can't lose faith in your kicker.
I mean,
or you start drawing it up completely different.
Honestly, I'm gonna say any other quarterback in that situation, whether it's Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Hurts, Dak, Kirk, or like any of these other top 10 quarterbacks, their coach is telling them we're gonna get as close as we can, and if we have a shot at the end zone, we're gonna take that shot. But we're getting as close as we can before we bring our kicker out. And I feel like that's the main thing is like Kyle gets okay. Kyle gets okay,
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, not to say that like Brock Purdy was like horrible, but he kind of was horrible that game with the 44% completion percentage, only 125 yards, one passing touchdown, one interception. So like maybe even Kyle thought maybe like against, because at the time Browns were number one defense.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like a juggernaut on their defense. Maybe he was just thinking, like maybe we can't risk it too much. Maybe we should just take the field goal here. And it's that part right there that worries me about Kyle when it comes to calling a game. Sometimes he tries to take the like safe route rather than sometimes taking the more risky route, which sometimes the risky route, yeah, like it'll come and bite you in the ass. But I think the safe route has time and time again bit him in the ass,
I hear you.
To like not take it.
No, I hear you, and I definitely can see that. So those are the things where, like, even that whole game, maybe you just named off Brock Purdy's just like stats and stuff. Maybe that whole game too, that whole game style, the way it was called, maybe it's not on Brock Purdy. It's on Kyle too, playing it too safe. Maybe not. That's.
But also an interesting point to bring up too, because I was this is the best year for even the Niners to win a Super Bowl, because after this year, there's no more Randall Gregory, no more Chase Young, no more Javon Kinlaw. Gibson is walking this year, Joseph too. Then you also have Givens, Feliciano is going away, Ray McLeod, and also Jawan Jennings is going to become a free agent, Terrence Mitchell too. And then not only that, but then the year after in 2025, you have Eric Armstead, Javarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Brandon Ayuk, Thomas, Moore, Lenore, Hufanga, Mitchell, Mason, and Alleron, all their contracts coming up. So, like you guys are starting to get to a point where you guys are going to have to start paying people, and starting to make tough decisions. And being good means that, your players are going to get shipped off. Like you got to think about Brandon Ayuk. You guys should pay him sooner rather than later, because Justin Jefferson's contract is coming up. And then it's Jamar Chase after that. And looking at it this year, this is the best shot that you guys really have realistically, because after this, a lot of your core players are walking away because they're going to take more money, They're not going to be like, oh, we're going to take a discount to play here.
Hey, you never know, but no, I hear you for sure. It's definitely that Super Bowl, winning that Super Bowl, man, that adds a lot of revenue to the whole team and the whole franchise. So they're able to pay off a couple of these players here, Hey, just one thing that I want to throw out there too. That the Chiefs this year have only scored over 30 points 3 games. they've been underperforming offensively. So it's just that the matter of the Niners just like putting up. If the Niners can put up 30 points or more, most likely we have a strong shot at winning it. I think the Chiefs only
Yeah.
scored 30 plus points against the Bears, the Chargers, and the Raiders this year. Outside of that, they've been under
Jeez.
30 points, right?
But we did it what 10 times?
We've been right. So it's just a matter of the Niners come and put up some points. I don't think the Chiefs offense will be able to put that many points, right? So it's really going to be up to the Chiefs defense to hold us under 30, right? Because I don't see the Chiefs scoring.
Well, it goes back to what Mahomes was saying after a presser. He was pretty much saying he's starting to learn to play the game more like Tom, where it's like, maybe I don't need to score 30 points. Maybe I can lean on my defense a bit more. Maybe I'm just going to start taking what the defense gives me instead of trying to force it down to MVS, trying to force it down to like some of my teammates and being able to be like able to put that.
I know who did that was.
Trying to like, force the ball down the field. And you got to look at it this way. We've been averaging I think 20 points per game, 21 points per game with the worst wide receiver core, with the highest drop percentage. So and also in the playoffs, we had a potential of scoring 30 twice, but one of them was fumbled at the goal line, and the other 2 touchdowns were called off because of penalties, pretty much. So to say that the Chiefs offense isn't there, you're discounting Reed a lot, because I think Reed too is also starting to learn to start calling these games a little bit more where he doesn't have to risk it as much, because he's starting to realize I can rely on my run game.
Yeah, now he's starting to play conservative. He's not attacking the air as much. All I'm saying here is with the juggernaut kind of offense the Niners have, you're gonna tell me that the Chiefs are not gonna need to score 30 points or more?
No, because honestly, when you guys played the Ravens, it showed a lot that as long as we have good corners, as long as we have good safeties, we're good. And you don't think that we have good corners enough to cover you guys, but we have 2 all-pros in our corners. We have pretty much a good front four who had the second highest sack rate, second to the Ravens. And then we also have good safeties too who do play in the box and pretty much just be able to stop. If anything, if Spags is a good coordinator, as I think he is, he's going to be like, you're not going to beat me passing the ball. I'm going to force you to run the ball down our throats, and that's how you're going to win.
Which the Niners would be able to. But I just want to allude to maybe don't focus so much on the worst regular season game that we had. If you're comparing everything on the worst game that we played, you might be in for it, like the team as the Chiefs, right? We shot ourselves in the foot more often in that game. The Ravens didn't take it from us. We gave it away. And that's something that most people are quick to jump on, like, hey, Ravens whooped that ass and took you guys out. No, we beat ourselves in that game. And it's not. I'm saying that you guys have dope ass cornerbacks there, and but I want to say the run defense, it needs to be worked on. And then that the safety, I'm not sure. Like the big plays are gonna happen on the offensive side from the Niners, no doubt it's gonna happen. Not just a matter how much of those you can contain and how much offensive points the Chiefs can put on. If the Chiefs cannot score more than 21 points, then it starts looking low rough there. That's my take right there, man. Don't highlight too much on the worst game we had. Focus on the things we can excel in, and let's see if that team, the Chiefs team, can really shut that down.
Hey man, to go back to the 30 points you guys were dropping, you guys dropped 30 points on the Rams, who they're a pretty decent playoff team. On the Steelers, not in the playoffs.
Playoffs.
The Giants, did they make the playoffs? No, they didn't. Didn't they? Did?
Yeah, they did.
They made playoffs, but got knocked out.
You know what? But still, pretty weak team.
Lost to the Bills.
Giants, weak. Cardinals, weak. Cowboys, we already knew they weren't going to win in the first round of the playoffs.
No, Cowboys are good
though. Jaguars didn't have Trevor Lawrence towards the end and didn't make the playoffs. Then you guys dropped 40 on the Eagles, Nobody really believed in the Eagles this year. Let's be real. Only
Bro,
Eagle fans believed in the Eagles.
They
Let's be
were, I
real
think,
here.
what were they? No, they were like, what,
Whoa,
9-1 when we played them or something like that? No, I don't want to hear that.
And you guys
I
dropped
don't
40
do
on
that
the
either.
Cardinals.
The Jaguars, when we played them, they were the hottest team in the NFL. They were like 5-0 at the time.
Yep.
And we
Yeah.
spanked them 34-3 with
And then-
Trevor Lawrence and Calvin.
When
And
the
then
Chiefs struggle with the Jags?
teams that you guys failed to score 30 on or past 20 on, Bengals. You guys did not score past 20 on the Bengals, on the Browns, on the Vikings. Who, if the Vikings were still in it, I believe they would have knocked you guys out of playoff contention because they were able to do that without Justin Jefferson. They had Justin Jefferson, and you saw how good that team was, even without Kirk Cousins. So if they had Kirk Cousins, you guys would have been having to run for your money. You guys weren't able to drop 20 against the Ravens. You guys weren't able to drop. You guys barely dropped 20 against the Rams in the last game. You guys barely dropped 24 against the Packers, and you guys dropped 30 again against the Lions. But I mean, Lions too. That game, you look back at it, if they would have taken those field goals, they would have most likely won the game. But I'm not going to fault you guys for that because, that's the way Dan Campbell calls his games, and that's how he's done it all year. But just looking at that, like, you gotta look. You guys were beating up on the crappy teams, and then when it came to playing teams that were a little bit better, you guys weren't scoring as much. You guys were barely staying within the game.
That's very interesting. I'm not gonna let you rewrite history, brother. I'm sorry. The Vikings all year had like a top 11, top 5 defense. To your point, when we played them, they were damn near healthy except for Justin Jefferson, but they still had TJ Hawkinson.
Man, they got robbed me of my fantasy football, man.
Yeah, I know that must have sucked. But Jordan Addison, I believe that was the rookie wide receiver, still played really good. We played them when they had TJ Hawkinson and a healthy Kirk Cousins, so they were stout on defense. And if I'm not mistaken, on that 3-game losing streak, we did have Debo or Trent Williams both, I think, inactive in pretty much all of those games. Yep. If I'm not mistaken. So I don't really remember all the particular details, but I'm not trying to say even with those injuries, you still have Ayuk, you still have Kittle, you still have McCaffrey. So there's no reason, I'm not going to give, Mahomes or Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, like, oh, you need all your players to win. No, you can still win with all those players that I just, Ayuk, Kittle, and old boy McCaffrey. So I get what you're saying, but, it's neither here nor there. The point still stands that even you had agreed in the beginning that this is the worst that the Chiefs are going to be. This is a down year, and they're still in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Each year, like we know, there's always different headlines. There's a different journey. Some players shine. Maybe you got to focus this year, like the Chiefs, on the defensive side of the ball and play situational game managing football. And they've done a great, excellent job riding, whether it's Jerick McKinnon on a couple of bubble routes or screen routes, but really just riding Isaiah Pacheco in situational pass downs with Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. But alrighty, so just to give out a little bit of predictions, mostly we've been hearing from the Chiefs and Niner fans. Uli, from the outsider looking in, hopefully G-Man joins us and gives us a Dallas Cowboy perspective.
That's right.
Rodrigo, who do you think wins, brother, between the Niners and the Chiefs going into the Super Bowl?
You know what? It's tough. It's tough. Honestly, like you were mentioning earlier, on paper, the Niners definitely, because if you go check off, who's better, from every position or whatnot, I personally feel like the only position is obviously the quarterback that the Chiefs take, and receivers, running back, everything else, D-line. The Niners definitely, not only take it, but I think it, they're just way better at, than the Chiefs. And honestly, the Chiefs have always struggled, regardless, even like when they lost the Buccaneers Super Bowl, right? They've always struggled with the good D-line, and what, D-line on paper is ever going to look better than the Niners this year. This D-line is crazy. Like you can't even, make this D-line up.
Last year's D-line was better with the Eagles.
The stat wise, yeah, but then again, the NFC, is always weak in that point. Yeah, the I don't know. I feel like the like how we said the NFC, tends to have better defense and and powerhouse teams where the offense always for the AFC the offense is always they throw the ball more, they have better quarterbacks and so it makes sense that those players last year from the Eagles got a lot of sacks and definitely divided them in the whole team, but I don't know. On paper and just skill set, the Niners D line this year I think it's better than any D line I could really think of off the bat. To be honest with you, it's an incredible D line and it shouldn't get like dismissed by any means, right? But I don't know. Personally, you can never count on Mahomes. Mahomes has been that player that he and and Coach Reed, right, can make anything happen as they did this season, right? Regular season is one league, and then postseason is another league, right? And in regular season, the Niners definitely were the better team, but postseason it's looking like the Chiefs are the better team,
Yeah.
which is it's they definitely they knew exactly when to turn on, and really elevate their game. My prediction. It's tough. It's tough. 'Cause I really don't want to give like a biased prediction. And personally, as a Raider fan, I'm not too fond of the Chiefs and the Niners are okay, but the Chiefs to me are just kind of they're starting to get to the point where I'm not the biggest fan of the Chiefs, right? But if I'm just looking from the outsider in and having no like biased mindset, I do think this is the year that the Niners get their revenge against the Chiefs. I see this game being maybe 28-24. The Niners, definitely will focus on the run game. Because as this season and many other seasons have proven for every team, especially as we've just seen from the Ravens, don't go away from your gameplay. Don't switch it up. Definitely, don't try to out Mahomes with Purdy. Play your game and you'll win your games the way you won them throughout the season. So if everything goes as should, I do think the Niners win 28-24. I do feel like Mahomes is gonna have that last drive as always, and maybe just to like make that perfect storybook ending, right? And Ward gets that interception and kind of wins it, against his old team. But I do think Mahomes is gonna play his ass off. I don't think Pacheco's gonna run much on that defense. I think Mahomes is gonna definitely play amazing, but I could see Mahomes throwing a pick and Purdy not throwing a pick this Super Bowl.
Sheesh. I
What
like
about
it.
you, Max? How do you see it, brother?
Damn, man. I mean, besides for obvious reasons, right? I see the Niners taking it. I like what Uli said. Oh, I like what Rodrigo said. Damn, name dropping. That Pacheco's not going to run that well on the Niners defense. Maybe from like other people, right? They'd be like, well, the Lions ran all over us, right? We gave up the most running yards we have all year. It was ridiculous, right? But that's what they do. That's what the Lions do. Jahmyr Gibbs, amazing talent. David Montgomery, I'm glad he resurfaced his career there with the Lions. He's a dog. I had him in fantasy last year. Didn't do me so good, but this year, he's a dog. So it's I'm not too worried. Like what Rodrigo said, that's something that stuck out to me about that specifically. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough matchup. But that I don't know. What do you guys think in terms of what's got me thinking lately is the Niners D line, right? As we all know, that's like the names across the board. That's top tier all the way across. But we've been a little quiet. We've been fairly quiet. I don't know. Is that any room for concern? I know. I think Hoser could be a good answer to this.
No, for sure. Room for concern, yes, of course. Definitely like the fact that we know they should be doing a lot better. The reason I'm not too concerned here is we're going up against not the most explosive offense in the Chiefs. And one thing that I want to like kind of like point out here is that if you take just the Chiefs offense and you take the Lions offense is so much better than the Chiefs this year right now when they were, right? They had a stack ass receiver, stack ass tight end, two fucking running backs, and a good line and a good quarterback to sling that ball. We managed to hold them down in the second half. I think they only got like one touchdown. So we shut that down, right? So we can do that to that offense. There's absolutely no reason we can't do it to the Chiefs offense. Don't get me wrong. It might take us a quarter to get into the game and really get like that defense to really step up and hold it down. But that's why some concern, because I know the Niners have not been playing to their potential. Not too concerned because we already shut down a better offensive in the Lions than what the Chiefs are going to bring. My take there.
Ooh, interesting, man. Yeah, I would agree. In terms of skill players, the Lions are probably as stacked. Maybe you can even add the Green Bay Packers from their position players. You know, Dobbs, Reed, you know, Christian Watkins. A lot of them are like first rounders, second rounders, third rounders with a lot of speed, size, you know.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting take. But Mahomes' creativity and his ability just to extend the pocket with that amazing, you know, Matthew Stafford no-look passes. You know, off balance, just kind of backyard football. Jared Goff can't do that. And, you know, Niners were having a hard time for a lot of the portion of the game to really put pressure on Jared Goff, even though respectively, you know, Nick Bosa had like 2 sacks and he was getting home. But, you know, they were converting a lot of long third downs. Now imagine the ability of Patrick Mahomes to extend the pocket. You know, that's going to be a little troublesome because Jordan Love was having a little bit of success, right? But yeah, no, it's very. I would agree that from the Lions, they had. I mean, I don't know what the stats look like, but their offense probably all year were like number 1 or 2. But yeah, no, it's gonna be very interesting. I think Uli gave his take. Max gave his take. Alvar, you know, was man, with this type of game here. You know, Hoser did talk about, you know, the Chiefs haven't scored over 30 and we've done it 10 times. I just feel like, I think it was Rodrigo, he was harping in on the Bucs defensive line and how the Niners defensive line. And then Alvar mentioned something about how the Eagles were a little better from a statistical standpoint. Absolutely. But if we go back to the 2020 Buccaneers, right, they had guys like Vita Vea, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, William Golson on the defensive line. Middle of the linebacker, you had Levante David and like Devin Bush. Backfield, you had Sean Murphy, Bunting, and Antoine Winfield Jr. You can make that comparison that the Niners, just off the names alone, are comparable to that. And I think at that game, the Chiefs had 2 of their offensive linemen injured on IR. They got hurt in the previous postseason games. Even though they did have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce dropping balls and, you know, the crazy Derek Jeter-like, I don't know, scrambling throws were hitting these receivers in their face. I need to see the Niners defense play flawlessly for 4 quarters. I need Steve Wilkes to contain Mahomes in the pocket if need be. The defensive line has to play like brutal. You know, Nick Bosa in an interview when they were asked, like, what do you see on tape? And they were like, they hold a lot. You know, there's always these conspiracies that the Chiefs get all the favorable calls, you know? Will that take a toll on the Niners? Will they'll benefit a lot of those calls? It's kind of hard to say, you know, this is football.
Statistically, that's not true, though. Yard differential for penalty calls, Chiefs have ranked 27, 29th, and 31st this year. So statistically, that's not true. We have more penalties called against us. And not only that, every team that comes and plays against the Chiefs is always the least penalized team when they play against us.
I don't look, and that's where they get you, right? Because they do all the stats and statistically, how you're saying, yeah, you might be right, but here's the thing: they throw all these flags, all these non-important crucial flags to up those stats to make it reflect like the Chiefs are getting all these calls, right? No. The calls that really matter, the calls that change momentum, the calls that really affect the game, and the certain moments when a big old touchdown is called and gets called back. Yeah, okay, what is that? 3? Maybe you get 3 flags that game, but you damn well know if you're watching the game, those flags really change the momentum of the game. So you might not be getting a lot of them, but you're getting the ones that matter. So throw them stats out the window.
Oh man, I mean, let's be real. If you're watching that Ravens game, there's probably that pick. It could have been called a flag, but because the DB was making a play on that ball, like that's a fair pick. I feel like even if Likely fell in the end zone, I feel like the DB was too much of making a play on that ball. But if you look at that Ravens game, the entire game, that Ravens O-line was holding and getting away with holding a lot. Not only that, Chris Jones had an opportunity to sack Lamar Jackson in the end zone and gets tripped by the running back, and they didn't even call it. And they were also doing a lot of hitting at the knees too when they were blocking, the Ravens were. So that entire AFC Championship game, it very much felt like there should have been a lot more calls. But the thing I liked about this playoff run and on both sides is that they're not throwing the flag anymore. They're letting them play. No matter what, they're letting them play and they're letting the plays happen. So, like, even though you feel like, oh, maybe this should have been a call in the Chiefs, guess what? They didn't call it the other way either. So,
for me, hey, as long as you're not calling it or calling it the same way on both sides, you're fine. You know, it is what it is. Well, we'll see, man. I really just don't want to see the refs be involved and influencing the game, right? I want the refs just to stay out of it and let the two teams go at it. That's ideally what we're looking for, and I hope fingers crossed that happens. You know.
And back to Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa's got to stop being a crybaby about holding, all right? Because that was 5
Hey,
years
let's not
ago,
talk about
right?
crybabies, man, with Mahomes.
That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and he's still saying they hold a lot. When 5 years ago, if Jimmy G makes that one throw, it's all even. Because guess what?
Honestly,
you guys would have most likely won that Super Bowl.
Mahomes cries so much and like he cries so annoyingly. Like you literally like could be at a daycare and listen to like all the kids crying, and you would rather listen to that than Mahomes cry. Like, it's intense.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Honestly,
Does it one time in 6 years.
I had a lot of respect for the Chiefs. I had a lot of respect for the Chiefs. I really, I really looked at them like obviously like the biggest threat in the AFC, sometimes in the NFL. And I was happy to have them part of the AFC West because you can't be the best unless you play the best twice a year and beat the best twice a year and in the playoffs if need be, right? But honestly, after what Mahomes did, not only in the Hard Knocks, if you watch Hard Knocks, you already hate Mahomes. Watch I forgot what Netflix show, but it was like the QB something, right? Maybe QB1 or whatever. You hate Mahomes there. Hard Knocks makes you like extremely hate Mahomes. And then you just watch how he complained to Josh Allen, which is I know Josh Allen has had his whole racial past kind of questioned or whatever. But yeah, man, like what he did in that game and throughout the year, like getting mad throughout the year because things aren't going his way, man. This is just I mean, you could hate on Tom Brady for being great, but you can never hate on Tom Brady for being a crybaby like Mahomes.
Man, what are you talking about? This guy would be throwing tablets down. He'd be throwing his helmet. That's being a crybaby.
Mahomes has no sportsmanship. Very his sportsmanship.
Oh, so when the best play in NFL history happens and it gets called back because of an offsides that didn't even matter,
that play
and Mahomes and Von Miller lines up
relevant.
Offsides in the next play. And they don't call it. That's why Mahomes was mad because he saw it and they did not call it.
Possible.
And you guys are making it seem like it.
Ricky, yeah.
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir.
Play that tape. If you find it right now of Mr.
Von Miller offsides.
Von Miller offsides.
You know what?
I can guarantee
the next week, Miami Dolphins players were lining up offsides again, and then the next week after, it was other team players that were lining up offsides. So it wasn't a consistent call.
I would literally put everything I own and bet it that the Chiefs that they missed more calls that should have gone against the Chiefs than any other team in the world, man.
And to ask that, how many times do you see quarterbacks get thrown on the ground, stepped on, late hits, and all that? Hardly ever flags get thrown right. Josh Allen is one of the ones that gets face dragged in the dirt, no calls.
Man, he gets all the calls. He flops for his calls. There's the whole reel. Hold up. Now I ain't gonna let you. I ain't gonna let you just say Josh Allen.
Last week, I was like, look, there's a call. Sure enough, it took 30 seconds for me to pull up a play, take a picture, and be like, there it is. That's crazy, man. But I mean, Mahomes is amazing, but he just needs to stop trying to get every call and just play the damn game and let the place come. You know, he does get the VIP treatment where, like, if he gets touched in a certain way, and if he gets like even tackled, nah, like, you know, the flag is coming.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
All right, hold on,
Look
guys.
at
I
that.
wanna
Look
see
at
this.
that. How much over the line is he? Why wouldn't you be upset seeing that after what they just called?
All right, so hold on, guys. I do want to say this. When it came down to Tom Brady, remember, they changed the whole NFL for him. So
cool.
so what I'm gonna say is they changed the tuck rule for him. There was no precedent in the past. They just made it up on the fly. That happened.
But Tom Brady didn't
which
cry
is
about it, though. It just
shocking.
happened. That was out of his control. He was just playing the game.
Absolutely,
And
which is
it happened.
shocking that Rodrigo wants to be like, hey, you know, they didn't do that for Brady. Brady was the reason why they changed the low hits on the quarterback because they tore his ACL. I forgot which team did it against, but they changed the whole NFL changed to accommodate Brady, you know.
Oh,
and it's
what
funny
about-
because even though Brady is a winner and he's amazing, but dude, this dude benefited off so many calls, you know, the low hits to the quarterback. And then he wants to say like the NFL has been mediocre. Bro, you were part of that transition of, you know, no longer being afraid to throw the ball up in the middle because flags left and right. You were one of the sole proprietors of that. So I'm not just trying to say that he's trying to rewrite history, but he's not far removed from, you know, a quote unquote softer football league. Now, as for Mahomes, to be honest with you guys, I haven't really been too much in the loop. I don't really watch the Chiefs games, so I don't really know how many calls. I know that there's a lot of people that get upset because of it. But you know, to be fair, I don't really know too much about this game and then this call that you wanted me to pull up the footage. But there was that lateral pass to Kelsey that, you know, Kadarius Toney or whoever was offsides, you know, they did annul it to bring in, you know, Josh Allen and get, you know, strip him of that touchdown so the game could be closer. You know, so it kind of goes, you know, it's like a give or take in the NFL. But I will say this, man. Well, actually, let me see if I will be able to play this. Let's see. All right, so this is maybe the play that you guys are referring to. The title of the video is Why Patrick Mahomes Was So Mad at the End of the Buffalo Bills versus the Chiefs game. Is this the game that you guys were talking about, or are you guys talking about the AFC Championship? Or
No, this is the game. This is the game.
okay,
That's what Alvar's talking about.
Look at him. You could already see he's offside. He's across that blue. The other person on the other side too is across that blue line.
You know that blue line's not really there.
all right.
It's like, nah,
All right, here we
but
go.
look, he gets down in a 4-point
Hey,
and he
next.
goes over the ball.
Play is right when this play is snapped. I'm going to start the frame. It is snapped. You see, Von Miller is starting to
The
move.
ball's already being snapped.
Yeah,
I guess you could maybe make that as an argument.
that's not a
but
flag.
if he's offsides, that's like the tickiest tactic
real time.
offsides I've ever seen. This is clearly different than Tony, who half of his body.
That's true. That's true. Hold on.
But he leans over before the ball is snapped. If you watch it very slowly, he's already leaning over
And
before the
and
ball
this
snapped.
angle
He's
isn't
in
just
the
angle.
neutral zone. He's in
Hold
the
on, let
neutral
me,
zone.
From this angle, of course he is.
yeah.
Look, he's good. He's good.
See?
Ball snap. Ball
Ah,
snap.
ball
that's
hasn't
the-
moved.
Look at the
Ball
center
hasn't
hand.
Ball hasn't
The
moved.
center hand has the center's hand is literally in between his thigh already.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know
not.
about that one, man.
And then
Hey,
you want to see that from the side. You're watching it from this kind of angle, from like a slight 45. Obviously, from the angle we're looking at, the camera's not straight down the line. We're looking at it from this angle, so obviously his body from perspective is gonna look a little more that way. If you look it straight down the line, no. But even from this angle, he moves once the ball moves.
That's true. Yeah, that shouldn't have been a flag. I'm not too sure what the deciding factor or what was that happened.
I don't think it was a flag on this, and that's what Mahomes was complaining because it wasn't. I think, right?
Oh, okay, got you. That makes sense. Right on.
and this is coming from the same Alvar who said Tony was not offside.
No. I didn't say he
crazy.
wasn't
Hey,
offsides. I didn't say he
Ricky, I
wasn't
sent you a-
offsides.
I sent you a
What?
text, man. It has I said, hold on, sorry, no, sorry.
Oh,
I thought after watching it, he
Hold
was
on.
offsides, all right?
Let me
But
see.
I just thought it was irrelevant to like put it
All right, let me
on,
see
you know,
how can
like
I,
to throw the flag.
How can I all right, you guys are good. You guys keep going. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull this one
Hey,
up.
pull up this video right here in the private chat. Look, you be saying Josh Allen doesn't do this. Look, there's a whole compilation made by someone of him flopping.
Who we got here?
Josh Allen. Josh Allen just flopping, getting calls.
I mean, don't fix it on man. I'm gonna
Man,
have to
because
make
you said by name, Josh Allen gets his face stuffed in the ground and he doesn't get calls. This is literally showing that he gets calls. This one, yes, it is rough in the passer though. I ain't gonna lie, that one kind of is.
That was a little late hit.
But look,
I don't know.
look at the other ones. Look at the other ones. Look at the other ones. Keep that.
That was
Wow.
slight flop. Slight flop. Yeah, I'll say that.
Nah, keep
said that was a
rolling. Keep
flop.
rolling. Keep
Then
rolling, 'cause
again,
it's a
Josh Allen has
confirmation.
admitted. Josh Allen has admitted that he's trying to copy Mahomes so he can get the same flags he does.
Sheesh.
Look, keep the film rolling, Ricardo or Ricky. I mean,
Yeah, you're good. Same thing. It's no
Homie Ricky.
You want to watch the whole compilation of it?
yeah. Look, watch it. Watch how much.
I
he
don't
flops.
think it's needed. It's just him flopping. It's a LeBron situation, you know. It's not. This is like historical. Like this is doesn't give us like a time lapse if this is all year round, you know.
This is all from the end of last season to this season. Gets a flag right there.
You already know Mahomes would get flags on that as well. Mahomes would get flags here.
Yeah, I mean, look, let me see if I can figure this one out. But I mean, look, we're just being nitpicky here. But how do I do this?
But okay, you don't think that Ravens game, that when they literally WWE move Mahomes in the face with the D lineman, that's always gonna get called. If you hit the quarterback in the face mask, that's always gonna get called, no matter who the quarterback is.
You would think so. Purdy was getting fucking hit in the helmet and he even got stomped up on one of the plays and no whistle was ever blown or flag thrown.
I need to see the clip of this because you be saying this happens to Purdy and I'll never see it happen.
Bro, what are you?
His jersey always looks clean at the end of the game because he doesn't get sacked.
Jeez. Nah, yeah.
Look,
I'm
man,
gonna
this
start having this stuff ready for you, man. I'm gonna start
I
having
know.
this stuff ready. But
Let's see.
I know we deviated a little bit over here, but I'm still curious to know everyone's like Super Bowl pick and the score. So far, it's just I have Rodrigo over here with 28-24. Max, I know you went Niners, but I didn't get the score from you.
Hey, yeah, that is true. Max, where's the score at, man?
I'm jotting all these down. I'm trying to see like who hits the closest.
Let me see if Max is his mic is unmuted, so he's probably off right now.
My check. All right. Then we're on to you, Alvar. What do you got? Who's winning and what's the
question?
Oh, here we go. We were still diving in. I know we had asked a question. Who's winning the Super Bowl? Who do you got winning, and what's the score? I know you said you got the Niners winning, but you didn't drop a score for us there. Kind of curious.
Damn, I don't know. I've never been good with scores. I'd say 2-1. Shit.
As long as you say under 30.
I don't know where we got the
for
one
Chiefs,
from,
you're
but
good.
that's tough. I say Niners definitely put up more than 30.
Okay.
I definitely say
Sheesh.
that. If we want an exact number, let's go 35.
Woo.
35. Chiefs. Damn.
They ain't scoring 30. That's a fact.
Nah.
Hey, man, that is like a straight up edited image, bro. That did not happen in the game. Did not happen in game. That's some good editing skills.
You said he wasn't offsides?
Bro, that didn't happen in game. That literally did not happen in game.
I don't know. That
Somebody
defense is
edited
pointing
the
right at
photo.
him. Defenders pointing at him like, look, what's he doing?
That's fucking ridiculous.
Bro.
Hey,
If
the
Derek
is
plays
undefeated.
like that, I say Chiefs 0, but I'll say Chiefs 24.
24 for the Chiefs. All right. We got 35-24. Max is calling that.
Sheesh, a
Max.
10-point game?
I'm gonna say 28-27 Niners.
28-27 Niners. All right.
Yeah.
As
What
a
do you
football
got,
fan, I would hope it's a close game like that. That's all I could ask for, to be honest with you.
Now you're going. I mean, you're 28-24. That's a good ass
Let-
fucking game.
Yeah, that's close. Let me ask you guys: is there a way somebody wins by a blowout?
Yes.
Two
Brock
ways.
Purdy throws 4 picks.
Two ways. If the quarterbacks end up turning over the ball and vice versa, like, and I know it's obvious, right? But like, yeah, you know what? They could change the whole schematic of how they want to run the Niner offense and end up trying to, play like Mahomes and Brock Purdy. Literally, yeah, like all of our saying, he if he tries to play like Mahomes, he's gonna throw 3 picks because that defense is pretty tough too. Vice versa, if Mahomes, if the running game is stopped and Mahomes is playing offense, and trying to be Superman again with that same offense that has been struggling all year. Himself, honestly, I see a fumble and 2 picks. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's the only way I see a blowout. And to be honest with you,
I think if
I would love to
Mahomes
see a
gets
close game.
patient,
Say it again.
if Mahomes gets impatient with taking the short stuff and starts trying to
Yeah,
force it in,
exactly. I do see it being a close game, but it like honestly, it could be a blowout either way. Like it really could. This is like one of those games where both teams are just so dynamic in every aspect of it. Where yeah, I mean, we seen the Niners blow out teams all year. The Niners, excuse me, the Chiefs could always blow out a team regardless. I mean, they did it this postseason. The Dolphins game wasn't close. The Ravens game wasn't close. The Bills game was, but and
even
then
the
it
Bills
comes,
game, you can argue that it should have been a 10-point difference rather than a 7 or a 3 because of that fumble.
and then
Yeah.
it shows you too. And then it shows you too. Like I mean, if you're gonna consider the postseason, right, like a separate season and it's its own little league, right? The Niners have played 2 games, right? So they're not as banged up as the 3 games the Chiefs had to go through. This is the first time the Chiefs, are not a 1 seed and are playing away, right? So yeah, they did get that experience of playing away, and they do have more experience, in the Super Bowl. However, Purdy's first Super Bowl, but it's not his first NFC Championship, and the team, is very familiar being in a plethora of NFC championships as well as the Super Bowl. So I don't know. It's yeah. It could go. It really could go either way. It could be a blowout. It could be a close game. But I don't know. I do have faith in. I do have faith that the football gods will let me see a very close game today or on Super Bowl Sunday.
I think you can make even the argument that the Chiefs could have blown out the Ravens if they kept because it just seemed like they had their defense figured out, and it just looked like they were calling plays to score. And then you saw after they got ahead and they started chipping away at the clock and it started getting closer to half, they started putting more emphasis on like, all right, let's just bleed out the clock. And
Don't forget though that Mahomes has never won more than 3 games in the playoff season, right? Like in one playoff year or whatever. Obviously as being a 1 seed, him winning the 3rd game, man, he won the Super Bowl, right? This is his 3rd game. What if that's all he has, right? I mean, I know it sounds dumb and obviously whatever, but you never know, man. He might be exhausted, he might be tired, and if the
that's
Niners
where this
really
week off comes in really well though. Because
Yeah,
Andy
it really
Reid's
does.
historically
It really does.
great for having a bye week. I think he's like 27-4 off bye weeks. So he's historically great at like having a bye, pretty much.
Question for you, Alvar. Losing Charles Omenihu, is that a big blow?
Yes, huge one, to be honest. I feel like it's almost as big as losing Willie Gay, but we had Drew Tranquil to kind of step in, and I feel like Charles Omenihu, I felt like he was that like engine for us on D-line where like once something happened, it was because of him. Like, yeah, Chris Jones is great and all, but like I feel like sometimes Chris Jones doesn't try to stop the run as much or gets a little tired. Like you can kind of see it on certain plays where he like doesn't really chase down a sack when he should be. But you have Charles Omenihu, Karlaftis. We also had Derek Nottie, who was out too, who was a really good D tackle, who got injured too, and like they were really on the effort side. So like losing Charles Omenihu, I feel like is a huge blow to our pass rush because I think alone he had like 5-6 sacks, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, I think in total we had like somewhere around like 58 sacks as a team. Damn. So for him to have a percentage of those and to also miss 10 games at the start of the season, so really hop in towards the end and barely get like into the rotation and have that many sacks and be that much of a game difference manager, like it's a huge blow because without him, I don't think we win that Ravens game because he forced pretty much the fumble on Lamar Jackson that got us to 17.
Yeah, right on, man. Interesting. Yeah, he was for those that kind of forgot, the Niners did lose 2 pass rushers. Ebukam, he went to the Colts, and Benny, who he went to the Chiefs. And he in his last game he was hit with the injury bug, and I think he was suspended earlier in the season from some I don't know, some failed drug test. But yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. I did want to say something about, we were talking about the blowouts, right? If there's a team, you guys were talking about turnovers, if Mahomes kind of like panics or makes I've never seen him do that. I know that we were talking about like which team is more like prone
feel
to
like-
be blown out. I think it would be the Niners because
I've
the Niners-
seen Mahomes panic though. I've seen it happen before. Like
Yeah.
that second Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, it was that game he kind of started panicking. That first half against the Niners too, he was panicking a bit. And then also like against the more recent memory against the Raiders, I think he just mentally shut down after, a dropped pass turns into, or when his receiver is supposed to come back and catch the pass, his receiver just sits and allows the corner to steal the pass and take it all the way down to a touchdown, and like seeing him get frustrated. And then I think against the Broncos too was another game where he kind of just was frustrated. I think if you get him frustrated, it's easier to beat him because then he starts playing like a little bit worse. But I think that's where he said he learned from Tom Brady, trying to take what the defense gives you, whether that means, all right, I'm throwing it to Pacheco 30 times, even if that means he's getting 5 yards per each. Guess what? We're moving the sticks every 2 plays. So I think he started really settling in. And I feel like that's something he learned from last season to this season is since he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, he doesn't have the single over the top hitter anymore. And now he has to take it down the field methodically. He's learned okay, maybe taking the checkdowns is better. So if really is committed to doing that, the Niners are going to be in for a tough game because I don't think that's what the Niners are expecting him to do. I think Niners have the belief that he's going to try to air it out, but I think if that's what the Niners really believe that they're going to do, Chiefs could easily win this, like how they did with Baltimore, because it felt like Baltimore was more in a sense of, oh, he's going to try to us deep or beat us with Rashee Rice. That's where you saw Kelsey get open that entire first half.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I mean, just from an outsider looking in, if I'm the Niners, it's pretty simple. You put Charvarius Ward to lock down Rashee Rice, and then you double team Travis Kelsey, and then you just stack the box to stop the running game. I mean, that's the way I've looked at it. The Chiefs all year, they don't have the heavy hitter. For some reason, if they're expecting Mahomes to air out the ball, I think that would be a big mistake if the D-backs are, the defensive backs and the safeties are playing 10, 15 yards out. It's makes no sense.
No.
So, I mean, I don't think they would be expecting that. I know Steve Wilkes is more on the defensive back because I think he comes from that background of being a DB himself. So maybe I don't know. We'll see what adjustments he makes but if you just watch film, it's pretty simple that Mahomes has just been running the ball in his simple dink and dunk passes all year. I know you said if Mahomes just takes what the defense gives him and just throws those little, passes on the flats or little out routes. But why does he get that leeway? But when Brock Purdy does it 30 times to Christian McCaffrey, everybody slanders his name. I just want to just let you guys kind of soak in that thought for a little bit. But I did want to say in terms of, all right, then you guys talked about who can be a blowout and things of that nature, and you guys gave your guys' piece. What about the biggest exploits that you can see from each respective team to be okay, this is where the Chiefs win because they can't stop Kelsey. Conversely, how do the Niners win, or what should they be exploiting in terms of the matchups? And then just what do you guys see?
No. One of the things from my end that I can see definitely being exploited on the Niners defense is just not being able to take down Mahomes and him making that extra little time and just making those passes that he tends to make, right? So I see that being a double-edged sword where if the defense is putting that pressure on Mahomes and putting them on him, it's the same way Jordan Love threw that across that that across the body interception towards the very end, trying to force something to happen because of the pressure. That could be the plus side of what the Niners do to Mahomes, and Mahomes might eventually try to force some in there, and our defense comes in and starts getting interceptions or whatnot, right? However, if that's not the case, the flip side of that, where it becomes a double-edged sword, is our D line's making that pressure, trying to get to him very close, just kind of misses him. Mahomes kind of squeezes out of there, and then hits Kelsey for an open 30-yard, 40-yard pass, or Pacheco for a 20-yard pass and takes it up, right. So I feel like that's a double-edged sword where that can get exploited. Either Mahomes can get exploited or our defense can get exploited. But I think that's where it'll come from.
Interesting. What about you, Max, Alvar, and Rodrigo? Or Manny, what's his name right now? Manny what? Manny Mahomes.
Hey.
So the question is the matchups.
Exploits from each team. Like what can each team like pop off on in terms of mismatches or alignments and stuff.
Damn, that's a little tough. I feel like Jose covered some good points. I like the who was it that was saying? I think it was you, Rick. The double team Kelsey have Ward, right? Shadow Rashid. I mean, in terms of receivers, right? Obviously, Kelsey's the most volatile, and then Rashid Rice, great talent, right? Super fast. What speed could kind of do against us. I know Lenore is going to need to step up big time. I mean, Chiefs have had their drops, right? The troubles with drops from receivers, but at the end of the day, they're all NFL receivers, right? You never know who can step up. There's always those unsung heroes in the Super Bowl, especially in the big game, right? And you're like, dang, that guy popped off. That's crazy. And they're
Darius Tony.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They're the ones who end up popping off. I mean, I doubt it's going to be Tony. It's
a very
So I know our defensive backs are going to have to step up a lot. I really, really, really wish we had Hufanga. But I know, damn, that was a tough loss. That one hurt just because he's such a dog, dude. He grew to be one of my favorite players. But I know Jair Brown, stepped into his role. For being how young he is and fresh off like that. That's he stepped into a huge role and he's been doing his thing. But yeah, the defensive backs are gonna have to step up. So, Mahomes, if anybody's gonna exploit it, he can, and we've seen our defensive backs get exploited. There was one play. Who was it against? It was a little fake. Was it last week against the Lions? It was a little fake, like a flat route, and then wide receiver like wide open in the end zone. I believe it might have been Green Bay. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? I think I see Jose kind of thinking about it.
Where all the quarterback had to do, like completely open.
Oh, it was Green Bay. It was Green Bay.
Yeah, it's Green Bay. All Jordan Love had to do was that little, just a little fake to the flat, and then everybody bit on it and wide open in the back in the end zone. You know what I mean? So we just got to clean up that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what I've been focusing on, thinking about.
Right on. What about you, Rodrigo? His mic's off. Manny Mahomes, what do you think, brother, in terms of an exploit, mismatches? What can each team capitalize?
Yeah, sorry, sorry, it's all right. No, yeah, no, it kind of, I mean, honestly, yeah, the biggest things that I see with any defense, playing against a dual threat quarterback is that, right? I mean, if Mahomes puts on his jets and really wants to be mobile, any team really is going to have a tough time. But that would be, I think, the biggest way that Mahomes could get that blowout against the Niners. However, I feel like with the D-line being so athletic and quick, right? I don't see it happening. But if it does, that's obviously the way that the Chiefs end up winning, maybe 34-5 or whatever stupid score you want to throw out there. But on the other side, I guess what you could exploit from it's kind of the same thing, right? Where like Mahomes being mobile, that would be what he could exploit against the Niners. But vice versa, right? I think the fact that they lack weapons on offense is something that, with the Niners being so heavy on defense, they can kind of exploit the fact that they have a way better defense than they have their offense, right? So yeah, you know what I mean, apply that pressure, and then, you know, eventually it could be another one of those games where Mahomes is throwing, you know, while he's falling down, and this time he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, you know, hitting his chest and dropping it, right? But he has Tony doing the same thing, right, with the same result. So yeah, no, I see the defense being a big impact. If the defense can't hold Mahomes, though, that's kind of where all fails.
Right on.
Um,
Yeah, man. I want to just highlight some points. I feel like, or I'm just going to try to recap just a little bit in terms of the last 20 minutes that we've talked about. In terms of which team can get blown out, at least what I've seen, not all year, but postseason, it would be the Niners. We haven't played a complete game. We were down and pretty much getting beat by the young Green Bay Packers. We were down bad, 17 points, where a lot of faithful lost hope, including myself, against the Lions. But somehow we remained cool, resilient, and we just never gave up. And we made it close. We tied it up, and then boom, we just kept it going. I could see Brock Purdy panicking, right? It all depends on the scheme. There's a lot of things that Kyle has to do right to set up Brock Purdy to have a lot of success. It's pretty simple. Simple passes to Debo, you know, run the ball with Christian McCaffrey, hit a big play with George Kittle, and then just laid it right down on Brandon Ayuk. It's easier said than done because sometimes the smartest men in the room do come up short in big moments. And like Max said, with unsung heroes, someone's going to have to step up. It could be Lenore. It could be Jair Brown since we are missing Hufanga. But I want to elaborate a little bit on that point. I think Jair Brown, from a coverage standpoint, is overall better than Hufanga. Hufanga has just that knack to be around the ball and always make a play, whether it's like a nice pass breakup, an interception to the house. He just knows how to make plays around that ball and, you know, make that impact. He does crash the box extremely hard, but from his coverage skills, I think overall Jair Brown might be a little more polished. At least that's what I've seen, you know. Even that year where Hufanga did win All Pro awards, it was mainly because he was getting those interceptions and taking them to the house. Let me see. So I could see the Niners if they play as bad as we played and not 4 quarters of just badass football like we know we can, like we played against the, you know, Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Eagles. If we play like that, Chiefs are in trouble. If for some reason the Chiefs go back to regular season football where the receivers are dropping those crucial passes, they haven't done so in the playoffs. They might have cleaned it up, but if they go back to their old habits of just like, oh man, Rashee Rice, this is a big moment for him. Pacheco could fumble even though he hasn't. You know, maybe they did clean it up throughout the whole season. It's going to be really interesting, really close and competitive. One more thing. The Niners, from a defensive standpoint, in terms of stopping the run, Aaron Jones ran over us over 100 yards. The Detroit Lions young rookie, he also fumbled, but Boyd was popping off on us as well. Yeah. And a lot of the time it was just like, damn, bro, they're doing these tosses. They're being untouched for 5 yards, running to the sideline. And then once they turn it upfield, it's like another 7 yards before they get untouched. I'm like, bro, you guys are we slow? If I'm Pacheco, I'm licking my chops, and Charles Edward Hilaire, I'm like, bro, we're going to run all over these dudes. So that's why I'm a little panicking on our team. I'm like, damn, bro, where's Dre Greenlaw? Where's Fred Warner? And the linemen are getting to them and just boom, take them out of the equation. You know, I think Hoser last night or maybe earlier in the podcast, he was saying like, bro, Chase Young could have made that tackle if he's just not lollygagging and just fucking jogging. Absolutely. So we got to play hard to the whistle. But I just want to kind of give that point of view. You know, we didn't really talk about our inability to not be able to stop the running backs, you know, and that's one of the things that we've pride on, not really allowing a lot of 100-yard rushers. Go for it, better.
I think there's 2 things that is a main takeaway for me. One is Andy Reid. We all know it. He's an offensive genius. Like, he's like in a class by himself when it comes to scheming people wide open. You look back at that last Eagles Super Bowl, right? The last one right here. You look at it. You see Andy Reid knows that this play is going to work based off what the defense was doing, where they were passing it off, you know, like passing off motions and doing that. He triple checked those 2 plays that scored wide open. He triple checked it. And he even ran a dummy play just to make sure that motion would work. So I think if the Niners can't do sideline to sideline as much as, like, you know, you think that like, oh, you know, this year they haven't really been showing that they can play sideline to sideline as much, more corral like to the middle. silent to silence been something they struggle with. So seeing what Andy Reid can come up with and seeing how those tosses work, knowing that he has a really great running back in Pacheco and a very reliable number 2 in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And even if Jerick McKinnon comes off IR and plays, now you also have him to deal with too. And like knowing full well, like, okay, like maybe Andy Reid might scheme something up for this. And not only that, well, I guess there's 3 things. 49ers have been really bad on third down. I don't know what it is about third down for the Niners, but they just seemingly cannot get off the field. And that's horrible when you're playing against Mahomes because, you know, Mahomes, you want him to go 3 and out and like be done. But like if you're giving Mahomes shot after shot after shot on a new set of downs, then that's something you got to worry about, you know? Yeah. And then you also gotta factor in the last thing, which is also what do you call it? Is also the like how good does the defense play for the Chiefs? Like, you know, a lot of people are thinking like, well, like the Chiefs can't like contain the wide receivers, which I don't think you guys have somebody who's better than Justin Jefferson. You don't have somebody who's better than Jamar Chase. You don't have someone like a lot of these wide receivers, even Tyreek Hill, who's a masterclass in getting open. He only had like 60 yards against us. And so like even seeing that where it's like, okay, you know, you gotta really look at the defense and know that those corners are legit. Like no matter what you think, and we have 2 of them. So that makes it easier for us because one can be on Ayuk and the other one can be on Debo. And Debo himself, look, as much as everybody says he's a wide receiver, to me, he's more of a gadget guy, you know, like he's more of a guy that is like more of a gadget guy. He's not really a true receiver like Ayuk is, where Ayuk can run the entire route tree and get open. But there's also the fact too that I think something that's going under the radar is how Rashee Rice gets himself open. If you watch a lot of the games and you see the replays when they're playing it, Rashee Rice is literally like seeing where zone's getting played and going to the soft spot of the zone. And then he's seeing where like he's playing man and seeing how they line up with him. And like he's a rookie. And in one of the plays he saw how somebody lined on him. And instead of running his regular route, he just free balled in and ran a streak. And Mahomes saw it and knew that wasn't his route, but saw how open it was. And he already saw like, okay, this is going to be open. And not only that too, last thing, Mahomes has been talking about playing the pre-snap. So he wants to play the pre-snap rather than the post-snap, meaning that instead of post-snap where he's creating with his legs, he's trying to play the pre-snap in, you know, trying to like see, okay, this is what the defense is showing me. And this is what like I'm going to take right here at the pre-snap. I know I'm going to have Kelsey open right here on the right. Oh, I know I'm going to have Pacheco right here in the flat route. And then also one thing too, I feel like you guys haven't touched on either is the defenses you played against that made Brock Purdy struggle. A lot of the defenses you guys played against that made Purdy struggle were defenses that make you look like they're showing one thing, but then drop into a different thing. And that's something that Spags specialized in too.
No, I hear that.
I don't know when this became a Chiefs podcast, but the Devo.
Hey, man.
Everything you named, Omar. The fact that your boy over there can read the defense and stuff. What do you think every single receiver on the Niners does, man? They read the defense and they find the sweet spots and they get to it. On top of that, the Lions, the sole reason the Lions got beat on those 4th down situations because they did a pre-snap read and read it incorrectly. So it's a double-edged sword. We showed we were doing man. We were actually doing zone, and then shit, nope, didn't help them play out, right? So those pre-snap plays could be a little deadly if you're reading them wrong. And what the Niners have shown lately that they can throw a couple fake reads out there, man. They can make you think we're doing one thing and they're gonna show and then do a different thing. So be mindful of that. You know, I'm not. You named a couple of things, but those same things are the ones that can, at the same time, come back and bite you.
But what about you guys playing against defensive coordinators that can scheme up and do what you guys have been doing, but do it to Brock Purdy? Because Brock Purdy, the Browns, they're pretty good at scheming stuff up. The Ravens themselves have said that they're good at doing simulated pressures, which, you know, that means they're not really bringing the pressure here. They're bringing it from somewhere else. And then also the Bengals, you know, you always watch Mahomes play the Bengals. It's always close because they're doing the same thing. They're throwing in fakes. And the Vikings themselves, they do a really good job of hiding what they're doing. So it's like is Brock Purdy gonna play that pre-snap where he's gonna be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna go to, or is he gonna play that post-snap where it's like, okay, once the ball's hiked, I'm looking to see what I'm gonna get,
Yeah, it comes when you trust your coach and the plays that he's calling, and then you just read you make an initial pre-snap read, but the one that matters and counts is the current, like when the ball is snapped, reading the defenses what they're doing, and then trusting the play that the coach called.
I mean, if anything, last week showed. Yeah, I mean, even through all 2023, Brock Purdy's been pretty good under pressure. You know what I mean? And then he showed last week, especially, that he's not the fastest guy out there. He's not the most athletic, but he's smart enough to know when to get out of there. Smart enough to on that one particular play when the defensive back blitzed in. I don't remember what the defensive back's name. He seen him coming, right? But he stood in there the last second, ducked under him, spun out, hit Juszczyk on the sideline. Like yeah, that kind of stuff. I love to see, right? So I mean, talking about throwing different disguises and defenses out there. Of course, I mean it's gonna be tough, but I definitely believe in Brock Purdy that it's not gonna rattle him. Of course, he might throw up a couple mistakes, but that's why it's like, I think who touched on it earlier, maybe Jose. You got to rely on your whole team, right? It's not, don't put it all on Brock Purdy's shoulders. Like Mahomes, I get it. One of the best. Like Alvar said, if he wins it, is he going to be considered the greatest? We said, nah, don't go there, right? Maybe top 5. But Mahomes is great. He's great. He has to put the whole team on his back. Besides the defense, right? Offensively, he has to put the whole team on his back.
Sometimes he even has to put the defense on his back too, with scoring, knowing that he has to score 30 plus to just stay in a game.
Yeah. See, you know what I mean? So can't take anything away from Mahomes, but I just feel like the Niners overall, the team, like, is just, it's just there, but we have to play as a team and get everybody involved. Hopefully, knock on wood, nobody gets hurt. Debo is that gadget guy, but that's even more of a reason to kind of be fearful of him and what he can do as a runner. Like, you see dudes just bouncing off him, right? It's pretty crazy to have Christian McCaffrey able to line up in the backfield, Deebo Samuel able to line up in the backfield, hit him in short routes, and then be able to take off for touchdowns, 40, 30 yards. That's wild. And then, when all else fails, you got George Kittle out there, Ayuk able to grab him in, Juwan Jennings, that guy's a dog. It's cool. I'm looking forward to it. But I think Brock Purdy's gonna do well with the different defenses under pressure.
Yeah, agreed. And then no, great takes, Max. I definitely agree with what you said there. One thing that I just realized too here, Omar, we never got your Super Bowl take here.
What do you mean, man? What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? What do you got? I'm assuming you got Chiefs winning. What do you got the score?
I think it's very dependent. I think if everything goes to like how we're thinking, I can see a 21-17 game, Chiefs winning. But if it turns into like a turnover effect, I can see a team like, this is just my general take on it, but I could see a team winning like 34-17.
Yeah.
If there is a turnover fest going on.
Okay.
But other than that, I got a 21-17 game. I think Niners hop out to an early like 10-point lead, and then Chiefs come back a little bit in the second quarter. Chiefs receive the ball in the second half and then finish off the game scoring 21.
Okay. Yeah, no, I got my pick, exactly what you just mentioned right now. I got Niners winning at 34-17. That's my take right there.
Hey, yo!
And I don't think it's based on turnovers. I don't think, maybe there's one turnover in there by the Chiefs, but for the most part, I think it's just a dominance in our defense, applying that pressure, and just knowing that our offense can just put up. They can, at any play can be a touchdown play when it comes to the Niners.
I can say the same thing about the Chiefs.
I cannot, unfortunately.
Do you guys think that Brock Purdy sometimes, or pretty much all season, does he play hero ball?
I feel like it's very evident when you can see it.
I don't think he plays hero ball. I think he just he just reads the schemes, makes the plays he needs to play. The most closest thing he came to hero ball was this Lions game where he was making plays and like escaping like these near sacks and making those moves with his legs, picking up those first downs, when it mattered. But it's hard to say. I wouldn't call it hero ball. I was just him capitalizing and making the most out of the play that developed and was given, and just making the right reads.
What about that triple coverage throw to Jawan Jennings against the Packers?
Oh, that one, I think it's one of those you kind of have to you have to take some shots and you have to take some chances. And I think that was a smart take on taking chances, right? It's a third down. It's a needed one. It's he trusted in his run and he trusted in his arm. Like at some point, it's kind of like I think we were talking about it a little earlier in the podcast where like you can't necessarily be playing conservative every single play, right? Like a couple plays you got to take a shot, and I think he took a shot on one that he knew that Juan had is like a little step on it. He knows Juan's capability of like jumping and fighting and going up there and fighting for that ball, and Purdy also trusted in his arm to make that throw. I think that was a good design, and I think it was a third down on that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
you just got to take some shots at sometimes, and I think that was a good one, right? If that was a first down and he took that shot, now you're like, you're making hero balls decision here because on the first down to throw it in that coverage, it's not needed. On a third down, you kind of have to take your shots.
Yeah, I feel you, man. The reason I bring up those situations is because every single postseason game, and pretty much the game post the Ravens, where he had all those turnovers, it almost seems like there's a play or two where it could always be intercepted even more. Like for example, Ron Savage in the first, second play of the game, he could have intercepted from Brock, but he dropped it. The Lions had a few of those as well. To be honest with you, there could have been 5 or 6 interceptions in that game against Brock Purdy, right? Against the Ravens. He fit the needle against on like a little bubble flat route to Christian McCaffrey and somehow still threw it, and there was like so many bodies there. And there was a lot of situations where it's like, damn, bro, like that really happened. If we go back to the game where we blew out the Jaguars, he was rolling out his left side, which is his weak side, throwing cross body to Brandon Ayuk. And there was like 2 Niners and like 3 Jaguars DBs. He's getting sacked and he still has the arm strength and throws it like 35 yards to George Kittle and actually becomes a touchdown. And Kyle Shanahan is like, yo, what the, luckily it worked out. But when it doesn't, ouch, And that's what I mean by like hero ball. Sometimes he does fit in the needle and thread the needle when it's just like, ooh, you're lucky that Jawan Jennings, but it was just like it was a finesse floater pass, triple coverage. It was a beautiful sweet spot. We've seen him throughout the whole year kind of make those throws where the receiver, like you don't really see no one inside, but he knows the timing that it's gonna take, and he dinks it in. But yeah, I just wanted to like just kind of like, man, this is gonna be really interesting, man. Damn, there's so many factors, like we can like it leads you to go to a different conclusion, or this coin toss we brought up, maybe Jake Moody, do you trust them? Does it become a field goal game? And boy, oh boy, just to kind of close it out and have a lot of more fun, much more fun to it. Are you guys buying a Super Bowl jersey with the patch? Are you guys buying one before or after to see who the Super Bowl MVP is, or like what's going on with your guys? Are you guys, if the Niners do win, are you guys buying a 49er replica Super Bowl ring, or what do you guys got going on, man?
Damn. No, hey, if you're gonna get one of those jerseys, you gotta get them like with the patch. You gotta get them beforehand, like just to like really like add to that like superstition, like, hey, we trust it, all that good stuff. But man, I would love to. All that stuff is amazing, of course, grabbing that stuff, but those things can be pretty pricey at that point, right? So
the way my bank account is set up.
Yes.
What about you? What about you, Ricky? What are you thinking?
Well, supposedly, I think the Super Bowl replica rings are like $150 or so. They're not too like oh, like 5,000, 50 grand. I don't know like if it's karat gold or anything, but it's still like something that you can be like. But yeah, no, I agree that things are really expensive. You know, we kind of talked about this. You guys can see my panic and like my voice being distressed when I was talking about that project vehicle and how it's like fucking draining my pocket. So I don't think so, man. You know, I still have this gift that my girl gave me with the George Kittle jersey. So I'm gonna rock that loud and proud. If anything, I can probably go to eBay and, you know, see if they, you know, somebody, you know, made you know, a Super Bowl sticker that I can, you know, iron on my jersey.
There you go.
Probably as close as I can get to buying like one of those $300 jerseys that are like legit stitched and all these things. But yeah, man, my pockets are pretty thin right now.
I feel that. I feel that.
And let me ask you guys real quick. I had when we went to the Niners game, the Green Bay Packers one, right? We went with Chino, and we were talking about jerseys. And he had a Nick Bosa jersey, right? And I was like, oh, that's a cool choice. And we was talking about different ones I might want to get, and this and that. And I forgot who I brought up. I was like maybe Purdy. I was like, I always wanted Hufanga, and he was like, Hufanga. He's like, man, he's like, if I'm gonna spend a lot of money, like 100 something, right, on a jersey, I'm gonna get somebody that's gonna be a franchise player that's gonna be there like for a long ass time, right? And I was like, okay, that's an interesting take. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. And I want to.
I mean, I have a Hill jersey, and he's not there anymore. So
Hey, that's why, right? Now it's
and a
trash.
Tyrann Mathieu one.
No, honestly, yeah, you know what I mean. Honestly, I feel like, you know, I have a big opinion on this, right? As a Raider fan, you know, honestly, it's hard for me to even buy a jersey because they might not be there next year, and like, you know, linemen are always the unsung heroes at everything, right? They're probably the most, you know, the most important part of the team that never gets recognized, right? Or the O-line, at least. And you know, I don't even know, like, I could, you know, honestly say as a Raider fan, I probably know, like, you know, a couple. I literally, like, not even like, I probably know like a guard, right? Like, you know, like, and even now I'm trying blanking out, right? So, and the reason why I say this is because it's really hard, kind of, to, you know, put my loyalty in a single player. I can put the loyalty in the team as a Raider fan, right? Like, you know, being a Raider fan, I could buy Raider merchandise because I know the Raider emblem and team and franchise is never going to go away anywhere, right? But I can't say that and be loyal about any player because, you know, 2 years from now they're gone, right? So yeah, you know, like, you know, as a Warriors fan transitioning to basketball, like, it's really easy for me to buy a Curry and a Klay Thompson jersey, right? Even if they're gone next year, which I don't think so, right? But, you know, of their time they already spent in, but yeah, it's a tough one for me, you know, and yeah, like you were mentioning, Max, I think you were saying that Chino was saying, but I would definitely, you know, for me, like, it's got to be like, you got to hit a certain requirement. Not only do you have to be a good player, and I really got to like the person you are and the game you play, right? But you got to at least have like 5 years with the team, right? 5 years of solid, like, you know, goodness.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to buy, you know, like, I'm not even ready to buy a Adam jersey, you know, if nothing's gonna come out of it, and he's might leave in a year or two, whatever, right? And yeah, but that's just really how I feel about it, you know, especially like Alvar's predicament of having a Hill jersey, and now he can only wear that in Miami or whatever, right?
You'll ever get a Crosby jersey?
Huh?
For the Raiders, a Crosby jersey, right? That boy.
Oh, honestly, yeah, that's definitely yeah, I would definitely consider Crosby, honestly, and just to kind of you know, bring it back to Hufanga, that's a tough jersey to have, like, you know what I mean, like, who's that? Hufanga. I was like, yeah, it's a tough one, man. Like,
Hey, if you know, you know.
and you gotta like the number too, right? Like, you know what I mean, like, if it's like, I don't know, like a wild, like 96 or 63, it's like, bro, like, do I really want to wear that? But yeah, these are little things, right?
So when you guys buy a jersey, you know, so you guys are looking like, okay, I'm only going to buy a jersey if that player has that legacy. They won as a championship, because you wanted to, you know, stand the test of time. That's what you guys are kind of like more than looking for, right? Like that.
For me, yeah.
So for legacy, so like, you know, even though Jerry Rice played for the Raiders and such, like, as long as you got that old school for Jerry Rice jersey as the Niners. So I feel you guys. I see what you guys are coming from. To harp on Max's point, I think like with Hufanga, I feel like, let's say for example, you had Nnamdi Asomugha when he was with the Raiders. That's where he was an all-pro before he went to the Eagles. And I feel like he can still have pride and honor, like if having a Charles Woodson jersey. He had an amazing run with the Raiders, but then he became a great safety or in corner with the Packers. I feel like your association, when you guys had that player, I feel like it stands the test of time, So I feel like, for example, because you guys were talking about, jerseys are expensive. It's $150 plus, then shipping and handling and all these things. Sometimes it's free. But for example, if you go to the 49ers website and you look for a Trey Lance jersey, stitch, you can get it for $69. And you're like,
Dang.
no one's gonna know that you bought it when you can be like, I bought this when he was a rookie, when it was at 150. No one's gonna be like, nah, you barely bought that right now, where it's like on clearance for 59. He's a Cowboy. You know what I mean? Like, It's one of those things where I feel like when you bought it, or even if you bought it right now where it's on clearance or whatever the case may be, it's just I don't feel like you should worry about whether I can't really say that. I just feel like as long as you're a fan and you want something within your means and the budget, I'm saying you guys can all get a jersey, but you guys do want it to stand the test of time. I think Hufanga's rocking a cool number, right? Like 29.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel what you guys are saying, but I actually never really thought about that, that concept,
If I'm being honest,
if I like the player and if I have a little bit of money floating around, which I don't
I
now.
feel like if they were to sell like other of like a franchise player, like say if like that last year Tom Brady was with the Patriots, they sold his Leatherman jacket for like a fan to have, I feel like that would be kind of lit, having all the old school like Super Bowl logos that they won, all the like stats on the like jacket and everything, and just having it for more like memorabilia.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it as well, because I'm on their website right now, and you can buy like footballs, that are signed by Christian McCaffrey, and they're like stitched with the, the Super Bowl logo, like $550. I'm just kind of like, damn, and they haven't even won the ship, but yeah, no, I feel you guys, man. So would you guys rather play it safe and like get like Young, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice retro jerseys, because they still have them up there right now?
How much they go for?
They'll go. So this is one of those things that I'm never really too sure, because they're $159, $160, but then if you click on them and you go to the description, it tells you like their numbers aren't stitched. They'll say like, so the NFL Shield collar, it's embroidered. But if you look at it, it has mesh fabric. It's a V-neck, and then it says, where does it say? That's it. Where's the numbers? Embroidered shoe card, toe graphics. So they'll say something about like the numbers are ironed or something. It's kind of like that little plasticky thing. And I like football jerseys to be stitched, name stitched and all those things. But if then
for $150.
Yeah, they're like $340. I'm like, where does this come from? I don't know if they're like cheaper quality. I'm not too sure what the players wear, if they wear stitched or if they wear like, I don't know. It's very strange. But why don't you guys do the where you pay and make up your own number and put your last name? Those jerseys that are super expensive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are like $370 though. Jesus.
Like, man, shoot.
Yeah, like freaking A, dude. But yeah, no, I just kind of was trying to like just shoot the shit and just be like, are you guys gonna get one of those jerseys? Because those little patches that they put like NFC and then the Super Bowl decal on the, like above the tit, it looks pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie, but man, they are pretty pricey. But yeah, Ricky Waters. But yeah, no, how are you guys gonna all meet up and gather around and just do like a potluck and pizza and beer, or are you guys doing all your own individual things
for the Super Bowl? I mean, invites definitely. I think we were talking about it a little bit yesterday. All of us just swinging by, getting together, and just having your barbecue, having some grill up some food, have some drinks there, and just kind of like watch the Super Bowl all together and stuff. I think bringing it in with everyone, man, it just adds to the experience. The homie Ricky Ava, hey, Shadman Yusuf.
My bad. I was going through the the NFL shop, so I wasn't on the comments. So Shadaman Yusuf goes, who do you think is going to win the English Premier League, NRL over the NFL? Don't at me. Hey, the homie Ricky. Why no engagement? My bad, brother. So the National Rifle League, oh, is that what we're talking about? The NRL? I'm not too sure. I'm not really affiliated with those acronyms, man. But I think it's like the National Rifle League. I used to be I used to be a pretty good shot, man. We're talking about like ARs, shotguns, and Glock 17s. But I don't know if the NRL is like I don't know what does that stand for. But no, National Rugby League, Aussie footy. Shit, damn. Look, man, the 49ers used to have a player from Australia. He used to be one of our running backs. Do you guys remember the player that could transfer from rugby to the NFL? Yeah, I forgot his name, but honestly, man, I don't really have cable television.
Talking about Jared Hayne?
What was his name?
You talking about Jared Hayne?
Jared Haynes, I believe so. Yes, sir. Yeah, so I don't really have cable television, man. I just kind of run a few apps like Netflix and such. So I've been really missing out on a lot of, just European or global sports because I don't really have cable or DirecTV or anything. So I just have Disney, I don't know, sometimes HBO and then Netflix. And so I don't really get access to a lot of the, the passes. So I'm actually I don't really know too much about rugby. What about you guys? Do you guys follow rugby? Do you guys
Damn, bro, that follow-up comment. Yeah, he got convicted of rape and is in prison. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but that's a
really?
turn of events.
Jared Haynes? No shit. I did not know that.
Hey, we're going to pull up the link I just sent. Like, let's look at opinions of this item from the Chiefs shop. Like, would you guys buy this if you were a Chiefs fan?
I'll be honest. My belief is let me click that link.
So you would private chat and then hold on. It's because sometimes like if I click it, because I was talking to
whoa, no,
I don't get to so I haven't updated my computer, so it'll say this right here. Watch that my clock is ahead. As you guys see, look at the time, it's 11:50, and
I thought you said your clock was ahead, man.
So if I click on it, it says clock error. So I have to update my computer, and I haven't really updated since 2018. Don't know why, but I do know why, but it's not that important. But
it's weird, man. That link is taking me to a picture of a garbage can. That's weird.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but I was actually just researching it really quick, and Jared Haynes actually is convicted and is going to prison, which is crazy, man. Yeah, that's a crazy turn of events. I know, like, he played a few snaps on preseason. I don't think he made the Niner team, but wow, that's pretty intense.
Hey, you remember Glenn Coffey?
Yeah, man. He tried to make a comeback, right?
Shoot, did he?
We're talking about the Ohio State running back, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, he looked good. He looked good, and then he just
he left to try to like be a pastor or something like that.
Yeah, or like the military, right? Or
something like that. I don't know. But yeah. It's a quick side note. Damn, that guy was dope. Yeah,
Glenn Coffey was cool. It's really interesting to always like go back and like research some of these players that like made an impact. I was going back to like 2003, 2006. Players like Ahmed Plummer, Shantae Spencer, when we had Manny Lawson and Julian Peterson, I was like, what the hell? Like, what are these guys up to now,
NRL clips.
Damn, man, no, but that OVO, that OVO X Chiefs cap, I think I might buy that one. It has the little owl on the left side and then the little like KC sign here. Let me see if I can.
Is he affiliated with the Chiefs?
I think he might be.
Damn.
Let me see. Right here. You guys see it? Look at this.
Let me remove this and see if I can highlight this. Head to the stage. Oh, okay. Yeah, that looks actually pretty clean, man.
And to be honest, for $80, that's not too bad. next business day shopping here. Oh, here's a front view of it. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they don't
You
sell
know,
one with like Taylor
it's
Swift or
for-
what?
Huh?
They don't have one with the Swifty or what?
I don't know. Swifties don't have a logo. Hey, man, this jacket right here, I think I might cop this one
They
too.
need to throw that number 13 on there is what they got to do.
Damn, man. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, they got some pretty cool apparel. All right, since we're talking about apparel and just like seeing the wardrobes and stuff like that, what do you think about Kyle? Wait, is it Kyle Juszczyk? You
His
know,
girl,
like
his wife?
and like getting affiliated and making an NFL deal so they can popularize women apparel. Because if you go to like the women's section, bro, their clothing and sweatshirts and things look like horrible, you know, and
Dang.
because obviously like the NFL doesn't necessarily cater to the women in terms of apparel, but maybe she can change things up and you know like her fits and they're really like they're very fashionable, you know.
The sweater she made for Swift and Brittany Mahomes.
Yeah, no,
she
it's
made a
true.
lot, man.
But that's a good thing, right? Because I like you don't want to exclude the other female sex, right? Like you want them to get involved because you want them to have a craze towards the NFL like they do and show up on basketball games that they're sitting front row seats. You don't really see that in the NFL as much. So I don't really see why it's been such a big problem. I know G-Man the other night was talking about like, oh, you know, the conspiracy and you know, like Kelsey and them have done like 300% in like not pay-per-view revenue shares. And I
And
forgot
jersey
exactly the
sales.
numbers that he
It
was
was
putting
jersey
up, but
sales.
I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I mean, what do you guys think?
I don't think that's a bad thing, but yeah, I mean, definitely true. I mean, I'm positive that right, it's made that big of an impact. I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing.
Yeah, same. I mean, what do you guys think? Max says it's not a bad thing. Alvar, Hoser,
I mean,
Manny Mahomes, or Rodrigo. How do you guys see it, man?
I think it's a pretty good thing. I think like you know you have somebody who is an international star. You know, she's known everywhere. Like I'm pretty sure if, for example, like Rihanna or like other like A-list celebrity, like say Kim Kardashian was dating like, let's say Joe Burrow, they would be panning to her all the time and like into the press box, you know, and stuff. Like I feel like it kind of a lot of people it shows a lot of people's knowledge on not knowing what marketing is and like generating $300 million for the NFL and just like everything all around. It's just like it shows you the amount of attraction that the NFL kind of wants, and hopefully, you know, there is more like not saying that NFL stars have to date like A-list celebrities and stuff, but like, you know, maybe we might see it happening more.
Yeah, right on, man. Look, man, for your guys' first time being on the like on a podcast, maybe you guys done it in the past. How did you guys feel, man? Just so we can wrap this up, get some rest, and you know, kick off strong on Sunday.
Yeah. No, this was fun. It was I really enjoyed my time on here. Where I'm looking at the time here, 3 hours, 41 minutes, 52 seconds. Not bad, not bad. Definitely time. The time, like when you really get into these discussions, the time just flies, right? And I feel like with the nice group we had here, it definitely made it very easy to jump from. We went from multiple, like we stuck to some football, but we went from multiple things, subject categories here, there, everywhere, and it was enjoyable, man. I really enjoyed it. For this being my first time, I'm definitely willing and interested in doing it and running it again, especially with you boys. So thanks for having us on.
I agree. It was super fun, man. It was a lot of fun. I hopped in a little later, but I feel like you know, it was cool. I'm sure you guys talked about the Niners and Super Bowl in the beginning, but we circled back around. You know, I got to give some of my takes. We talked about throwback North Salinas. Yeah, man, it's super fun. This was super fun. I'd definitely be down to do something like this again.
Yeah, man. Maybe we should run an off-season show. You know, like start in the off-season and then run it all the way into the regular season. You know.
Yeah,
Man.
right on, man. Maybe, a week after the Super Bowl, or maybe if you guys want to just give your thoughts after the Super Bowl, we can do something like that.
Ooh.
And then there's a lot of like ideas that I'm really interested in doing with the channel besides going to live. So I want to be more intricate and maybe go into more details, whether it's boxing and football. Obviously, if I'm a smarter man, if I want to get like a bigger following, you would do football because it's much more popular than boxing, being very minute and pretty much irrelevant in terms of the big sports world, right? There's only like a select field of fighters that you can really like profit off. But yeah, we can definitely do a build up. I mean, it just comes down to like seeing the vision and like I want to create a stage, like maybe have like a desk, maybe our own kind of like Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless situation, have like nice neon lights and 49er signs in the back when I clear out the garage and have the cars running. It would be
Damn,
really
just 49er signs back there.
Yeah, you got to bring your own Chief stuff.
yeah,
Man, you're just like the school I work at. They have all the colleges up there with their flags, and then I don't see a Sacramento State up there, man.
Yeah, nah, I mean, you can bring like your own jerseys or your own bobblehead. That's as far as I'm gonna let you rock with it.
Damn.
But yeah, man. On that note, Alvar Hoser, Air Max, Rugby Rodriguez, man. Thank y'all for always tuning in, bro. And I appreciate you guys for giving me you guys' time, 4 hours, and just to participate. It's always a blessing, man. But on that note, fellas, appreciate it, man. Have a good night, and maybe we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, no, likewise. Appreciate y'all. And that Rugby Rodriguez, man, you changed your name so many times. I don't know what to call you no more, other than calling you good night.
Yeah. No, appreciate it. Definitely the best host that I've worked with. My long list of podcasts that I've attended, and if anyone else wants to, be part of the Homie Ricky's podcast, just know, great host, great subjects, great pay. Enjoy.
Love it, fellas.
All righty, guys. On that note, man, have a good night. Appreciate you guys, man. And till the next one.
Good night,
The
y'all.
next one. See y'all.
Peace. That's hilarious.